Okay, there we go. Dude, for some reason my OBS deselected my primary mic. What's up, everybody? I figured it would be fun to do a full live reaction to these new Ren and Webby drops. I'll cut this up into individual videos later and post them throughout the week, but yeah, I figured this would be a good way to go about it. So the people that want to watch all of it in one stretch have that, because it'll be in the live vlog. And then the people that want to watch them individually will have the chopped up videos. So the first one we got is End of the World. Ren and Webby. We'll give it just a couple minutes here for the live to get started, and then we'll get going. So we got End of the World, Me and My Monster, Mason Jar, which is a visualizer. Me and My Monster is a lyric video. End of the World looks like it's an actual video. Dr. Meyers, a lyric video. Silence, which is a visualizer. Lunatic Lullaby, which is a visualizer. And then Asylum, which is a lyric video. So one like normal video, and then a couple lyric videos, couple visualizers. So yeah, I'm interested to see what we got. So everything looking good, sounding good. I feel like my saturation got turned up. I don't know. I had to reboot my computer, and OBS always does such weird stuff. Like it deselected my microphone for some reason. But I feel like my saturation is cranked up a bit more than usual. I feel like I'm kind of like orange. All right, there we go. That's a bit better. All right, guys, well, let's dive into this. I have never done any reactions on YouTube Live, so I'm really not sure, like, what, what it's gonna do. I see other people post live reactions, like they did a live stream and reacted to, you know, Ren and Webby's drops and stuff. So I would imagine you can do it. But I guess we'll see. Oh, I have the stream unlisted. Oops. Wondering why nobody was coming in. Sorry, it's been a while since I've done any streams on YouTube. I used to stream, man, every like at least twice a week when I was doing the metal sales and stuff. But now I do not stream very often, so I thought this was up the whole time from the get-go, even before going live, but it doesn't appear that it was. Just gonna double check everything is good here. Go over to YouTube and stuff. All right, so for anyone just joining, I figured this would be a fun way to do the reactions to all the Ren and Webby tracks, do them in one full shot in a stream here live. As you see, this is my YouTube account here. It's got no views on any of them yet. Yeah, and then I'll chop it up into individual videos that I'll release over the next week. So basically, you guys are getting to watch my recording session live as I react to these songs. And, you know, we'll see if this works out, and maybe it's something I'll do in the future. I don't know. I mean, my recording process, honestly, everything I talk about and most stuff I do is one take. Like, the only real difference in what you see in the recordings versus if I just live streamed it is, like, I cut out, like, pauses and stuff, because my general speech cadence is, I don't know. I've done a lot of, like, public speaking in my life, so I tend to, like, kind of stop on points for a couple seconds and take pauses and stuff, and it's not necessarily the best thing for a YouTube video, but so a lot of that stuff I cut out, as well as ums and ahs or coughs or stuff like that, you know, is what it is. But this should be fun. So if you're just tuning in, we're going to do reactions to everything, all the new Ren and Webby drops, because they released 7 songs yesterday, and I'm up super early, so the kiddo don't wake up for a couple hours. So I'm like, dude, I could just stream this, because I was going to record all of them anyway. So yeah, we'll give it like 1 or 2 more minutes, and then we'll get started in here with End of the World, which is the first one. It looks like it's a video. The rest are either lyric videos or visualizers. Feel free to talk in the chat, guys, and all of that if you want to. I think the only requirements to chat is that you have you're subscribed to me, but otherwise we'll get going here in just a moment. Hope everybody is having a fantastic day. Everybody's doing well out there. This is kind of crazy, man. This is a lot of content in one drop for these guys, you know? I mean, they've been giving us the other videos, and then we got kind of 2 weeks to set on them. 7 in one day. I don't know. I didn't see their whole explanation of this, so I'm not sure why they went this route with dropping them all at once, but I think it'll be fun. All right, guys. Well, let's dive in. I'm going to open them in a separate window just so we still got the full list up there. So we got Impatient, Ren and Webby, new release, End of the World. See what we got.
It's the end of the world. Everybody that you love's gonna die.
Bro, what? These guys, man. Don't like Leave It to Beaver style.
Everybody that you love's gonna die.
Oh, I didn't even hear the lyric part there. Everybody that you love's gonna die. What kind of morbid stuff is that? I'll make sure the audio's good for you guys. Oh boy.
Get up, buckle up, knuckle down, bust your bubble, shopping for some hope in the dust and the rubble, yeah. Wash your knees, feet to keep you scared. Buy your reinforced bunker so you're well prepared.
Bro, this is my style of music. Are you kidding me? Don't worry, I'll restart it. But like, this is the stuff I like, this like acoustic alternative stuff. Like I've told you guys before, like Jack Johnson, G Love, you know, stuff like that. This is going to be sick.
Buckle up, knuckle down, bust your bubble, shopping for some hope in the dust and the rubble, yeah. Wash your knees feet to keep you scared. Buy your reinforced bunker so you're well prepared. Medication corporation TV screens collectively collapsing the American dream. And keep up your 9 to 5 to play the slot machine. And keep on watching this apocalypse, hypocrisy is rife. In the Senate, politicians are the men in queue. Collision.
So he's like kind of breaking down a lot of what's going on in society, and then we have this kind of like playful zombie apocalypse. I guess that's what it is, you know, aesthetic going on with the zombie attacking the businessman there, or his neighbor that waves to him like they always did in the classic TV shows and stuff.
Yeah, wash your knees feet to keep you scared. Buy your reinforced bunker so you're well prepared. Medication corporation TV screens collectively collapsing the American dream. And keep up your 9 to 5 to play the slot machine. And keep on watching this apocalypse.
Keep up your 9 to 5 to play the slot machine. Dude, that's real. I tell people a lot of times when I'm talking to them, man, there's not much difference than chasing your dreams and like just going out there and getting a job and all that. Like it gives you a consistent paycheck, but other than that, it doesn't give you any more security than just like doing what you want to do, right? Like if you want to make content, if you want to, you know, start a business, if you want to, yeah, you won't get that weekly paycheck, but like it's a gamble nonetheless. Like the corporations don't care about you. They can lay you off at any point. And then you're stuck without money or without anything to back up on, right? And, you know, so it's a gamble just as much as chasing your dreams. And I feel like if you're going to waste your entire life on a risk, which is what we got to do, then I would rather do that on something I actually cared about and wanted to do, right?
Hypocrisy is rife in the Senate. Politicians are the men in queue. Collision course that we should have all prevented. Hey, we're gonna die, sugar, it's okay. Just another supernova in the Milky Way. I call 911 666 911 on a rocket ship to Mars when they block the sun. Blow it up, atomic energy with hydrogen. Here's a serving of Corona for your dying lungs. Cough it up, hey, hey, it's the price we pay. It's the fate of the human race. So much darn potential gone waste.
Dude, this might be my favorite song off their album. This is fire so far. Wow. I'm loving the style. I'm loving the lyrics and what he's talking about, what he's representing.
Collision course that we should have all prevented. Hey, we're gonna die, sugar, it's okay. Just another supernova in the Milky Way. I call 911 666 911 on a rocket ship to Mars when they block the sun. Blow it up, atomic energy with hydrogen. Here's a serving of Corona for your dying lungs. Cough it up, hey, hey, it's the price we pay. It's the fate of the human race. So much darn potential gone waste. Welcome to the end of the day. See the chemtrail clouds on a summer's day in the sky. Watching as the fires rage and the polar bears drown. Baby, it's okay to be fine. Don't forget to medicate. It's a sick, sick world, but I feel great, so come on. Welcome to the end of the world. Wake up to the heavy metal.
All right, I before Webby spots come in, I gotta, like, man, this is crazy. I feel like this is the times we're in too. Like, I feel like every generation feels like they're in the end times. You know, you've seen the apocalypse doom stuff for generation after generation. I mean, even going back to biblical times and everything else, they thought that, you know, the second coming of Christ was going to be in like 50 years and then in 100 years and then in 200 years and 500 years. And yeah, like this has been going on for forever, but it's just kind of wild to me that like everything is just so insane right now. Like it's almost unbearably insane.
On waste.
I'm so stoked for Webby's part.
Welcome to
I wonder
the
what
end
he'll
of the
bring to
day.
it.
See the chemtrail clouds on a summer's day in the sky. Watching as the fires rage and the polar bears drown. Baby, it's okay to be fine. Don't forget to medicate. It's a sick, sick world, but I feel great, so come on. Welcome to the end of the world. Wake up to the heavy metals that are blowing on the breeze. The smoke from the wildfires, I could barely breathe. Whales washing up on them rising seas. And got a bunch of fucking plastic in my mac and cheese. Yeah, the food's all poison, so we're all sick. Trade a double quarter pounder for a chemo drip. Soak it up while we argue about the politics. And keep a
Dude, I am vibing with this song so much, guys. I did not expect to be stopping this much, but yeah, this is a more cheerful one, even though it's friggin' dark. Yeah, like, dude, just so much of this encapsulates like the things that are on my mind. You know what I mean? I mean, they're representing so much from, you know, the chemtrails and kind of like the poisoning of all of us and the planes that have all been crashing and stuff. You got, I think this is supposed to be representing kind of like the influencer generation and the OF girl generation and stuff like that. And then Webby comes in and, I mean, Webby's doing Webby. You know, I just did the reaction to Raw Thoughts 6, and I didn't think it would be as good as Raw Thoughts 7, but it was pretty fire too.
Wake up to the heavy metals that are blowing on the breeze. The smoke from the wildfires, I could barely breathe.
As an Oregonian man, I can relate to that way too much. Like, it is crazy during the summer, the years that Cali, Vancouver, Central Oregon has wildfires. I'm an asthmatic too, man, and like, I almost can't leave my house. I have a purifier in every room. Like, the air quality gets so bad.
Heavy metals that are blowing on the breeze. The smoke from the wildfires, I could barely breathe. Whales washing up on them rising seas. And got a bunch of fucking plastic in my mac and cheese. Yeah, the food's all poison, so we're all sick. Trade a double quarter pounder for a chemo drip. Soak it up while we argue about the politics. And keep a full speed sprint toward apocalypse. I know AI's got us in that scope. And when they choose to terminate us, and that's all she wrote. Feel like God went ghost and they monetize hope while they selling us a noose that'll fit our throats. We could use a little help from the Vatican. When they're not busy with the kids, they be trafficking. Allegedly, go and get another jab again. And just ignore the black box on the packaging. Shoot it up. Hey, hey, it's the end of days. Nothing left that we could say. 'Cause it looks like we're fucked either way.
Has anybody made a more depressing song more cheerful? Like, golly.
'Cause it looks like we're fucked either way.
These guys don't disappoint me.
Welcome to the end of the day. See the chemtrail clouds on a summer's day in the sky. Watching as the fires rage and the polar bears drown. Baby, it's okay to be fine. Don't forget to medicate. It's a sick, sick world, but I feel great, so come on. Welcome to the end of the world.
All right, who had Webby doing a kazoo solo on their bingo card for this album?
Welcome to the end of the day. See the chemtrail clouds on a summer's day in the sky. Watching as the fires rage and the polar bears drown. Baby, it's okay to be fine. Don't forget to medicate. It's a sick, sick world, but I feel great, so come on. Welcome to the end of the world. Welcome to the end of the day. See the chemtrail clouds on on a summer's day in the sky. Watching as the fires rage and the polar bears drown. Baby, it's okay, it'll be fine. Don't forget to meditate. It's a sick, sick world, but I feel great, so come on. Welcome to the end of the world.
One more time. Or not.
Wow, that was really good, man. I did not expect them to come with such fire on the very first song. Like, I mean, okay, this in the first song, you know what I mean? Like, of these releases. I'm glad they did that one in person too. That was so fun. And like I talked about the other day in my video, I kind of been missing their face, seeing them and stuff in person. So it's nice to see. Don't pause the kazoo solo. Yeah. Dude, they should sell a Webby kazoo. That would be awesome. All right, I'm gonna do my sign off for the recording. I'm gonna chop this up into recordings for each of these. So I'm gonna do the sign off for the recording after each one. That was awesome, guys. End of the World, Webby and Ren Impatient. That's it for this one. Let's get back to work. Keep praying. I'll see you in the next one. All right. You guys get a little behind the scenes today. So next is Me and My Monster. Dude, I just really like that. That was fun. That was super fun. That wasn't what I was expecting. Like, the content was so, like, doomer and depressing if you think about the message. But the actual music and, like, the vibe and the beat of it and everything was so good. And I really like that message of just kind of, even though it seems like, you know, the world is on fire, just, like, finding the joy in things and having fun with it, you know, sitting there and having a beer with your zombie friend at the end of the world. Oh, Me and My Monster, I feel like is going to be a rough one. Chat, are any of these songs going to make me cry? Do I have to worry about like sitting here and blabbering on? That was the only thing I was worried about with streaming this, is that I was going to end up, they would do like some sad song that would mess me up and make me like cry through it or something. Anything that you guys know of. Me and My Monster. Get that one opened up. Oh, it gets pretty dark from then on. Okay. We'll see. Yeah, End of the World is definitely bumping the car worthy. I mean, it reminds me of, I don't know if any of you guys are big Jack Johnson fans, but Jack Johnson had a song called Sleep Through the Static. Reminds me a lot of Sleep Through the Static. Kind of similar idea. Definitely done different, but... All right, guys. The next in the mass dump release of songs from Ren and Webby is Me and My Monster. Me and My Monster, Impatient, Ren and Webby. We've been told it's going to be a little dark. So, End of the World is your jam. Yeah. Dude, that I love that. That might be my favorite song off this album. I'm not going to lie. That was good. All right. Oh, are we ready for this? I don't know if I'm ready for it getting dark. We're going to end up getting real in the chat here, guys. We'll see. I don't know. This is my first time listening to all of these, so. Okay. I'm a little nervous now. Me and my monster. So we got kind of like a classical music background vibe. Piano is cool. It's got kind of it's given me Blair Witch Project vibes really bad, which I'm at the age. I know I look super old with the gray in my beard and the gray hair, but I'm in my late 30s, all right? So I'm not that crazy old yet. But I was like a teenager when Blair Witch Project came out. And so like, this is giving me that vibe. And that's creeping me out a bit. So that's part of the reason I'm like so hesitant to start it. Oh, it's definitely an uplifting song. Yeah, End of the World is an uplifting song. I mean, that's how I see it. Like the sad things they're talking about in that song are reality. And the fact that they're trying to find joy in that reality is beautiful to me. And that's what I try and do too. So, all right. Me and my monster. Let's see.
I don't know just why I'm like this. I've heard people around me say something's off, I'm not okay. Cause that darkness I keep bottled up is seeped into my veins. So I let the monster out the cage. Something's in the water, at least that's what I blame. I can feel a monster that wants to escape, scratching on my insides. No peace from a freak of nature. Cause recently my thoughts are driving me insane, pulling me apart by the seams in my brain, crawling on my windpipe. Wake the beast, time to meet your maker. So let me get the first thing first. I was cursed since birth. I was born with Nostradamus like prophecies, words of fate. Pain shaped and the pain makes me not think straight. Brain checkmate, need restraints, as new chains in the whole cave to contain the pace of my train of thought. Cause it's all for morbid, more highly strong. And the soul is tortured, more highly strong from a new supported. And the more I run, more I feel awkward, like I'm caught in a storm and I'm launched to orbit. And from dusk till dawn, as a force of forces itself to the surface, it's coming, it hurts it, it's murderous mercy, this monster that's lurking.
Woo! Man, thank God this is a lyric video, dude. He is just, Ren is going full Ren on this one, huh? I mean, the biggest thing that stuck out to me so far is where he's talking about feeling cursed because he was born like Nostradamus and is able to see the prophecies. I feel like that's a relatable feeling, whether, I mean, I don't know. I've talked about this in videos and stuff before, but it's like I've had a lot of, you know, premonitions in my life of bad stuff that was going to happen, and it happened. And I know a lot of you guys related in the chat to that. And even if you haven't had that type of thing, like you still get bad feelings and stuff in situations when you really don't know why. And like, it feels like a gift, but also a curse. Yeah, I don't know. He's going, this is interesting so far though. I'm not really sure what to make of this. I mean, it seems very like introspective. I don't necessarily see the whole like monster angle yet, but we're only like a minute in. So he's going off on the beat though hard.
Recently my thoughts are driving me insane, pulling me apart by the seams in my brain, crawling on my windpipe. Wake the beast, time to meet your maker. So let me get the first thing first. I was cursed since birth. I was born with Nostradamus like prophecies, words of fate. Pain shaped and the pain makes me not think straight. Brain checkmate, need restraints, as new chains in the whole cave to contain the pace of my train of thought. Cause it's all for morbid, more highly strong. And the soul is tortured, more highly strong from a new supported. And the more I run, more I feel awkward, like I'm caught in a storm and I'm launched to orbit. And from dusk till dawn, as a force of forces itself to the surface, it's coming, it hurts it, it's murderous mercy, this monster that's lurking. I don't know just why I'm like this. I've heard people around me say something's off, I'm not okay. Cause that darkness I keep bottled up is seeped into my veins. Let the monster out the cage.
Okay, I'm getting it now. He's talking to, yeah. He's saying to just let that wildness out of you. That's not necessarily the best thing for everybody, but yeah. I don't know. It's I feel like we can all relate to the feeling that like something's off with us and not really right. I feel like it's a very human feeling because we are all so unique and individualistic, even though, we're part of this species, and, we try and group ourselves by races and religions and other things. Even within those things, we are so very, very unique in our perceptions of the worlds and the way we interact with things and the way we process things. And it's all built off of those experiences, right? Those program us to be, to think and feel and react the way we do. That was one of always the most fascinating things to me about, psychology and learning the study of psychology, is how you can have two people, even let's say two brothers, people raised in the same household, react so differently to the same stimuli. Because at the end of the day, we're all just these creatures of stimulus response. We're all just these creatures of all of this trained programming, almost like an AI algorithm type of thing, leading to the actions. And you'll see so many of these situations where people have very similar, upbringings and experiences and everything else, but they still led them down very different courses. And it's always been fascinating to me, I think this is one of the most personal, both for Webby and Ren. Not sure how he feels about it. It reminds me of the analogy of the narrator in my head. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I feel like we all feel this way, and it's an isolated feeling, but it's connecting in the fact that we all feel it too. So,
Cause that darkness I keep bottled up is seeped into my veins. Let the monster out the cage. Feel it in my bloodstream, rushing through my veins. Feel him as he creeps through the halls in my brain. And he's always hungry, gotta keep him fed. After years spent trying to expel him from in my head, he started under the bed till he made himself a home in the furthest depths of my psyche, to the marrow in my bones. He's that shadow that I cast, that reflection in the glass. He's that static in the silence telling me I'm not alone. In my DNA in that double helix, and either way, and I fucking feel it's too late to make a vacate. Chained to my fate, maybe I'm crazy, or that my fucking spirit is just plain weak for letting him win. Or maybe destiny that we spend the rest of our natural lives together. Why fight each other? Cause in the end I've felt an emptiness that's following me since a kid, but he was there to claim the occupancy. A lifetime later, right back where I started, you see. Till the credits roll, still it's just my monster in me. Yeah. I don't know just why I'm like this. I've heard people around me say something's off, I'm not okay. Cause that darkness I keep bottled up is seeped into my veins. Let the monster out the cage.
interesting video. Interesting song, right? The video is a lyric video, but it's well done and everything. I honestly think this song kind of works better for a lyric video, especially the way they shot it. Man, this Blair Witch style shot is crazy. But I don't know. For me, it just harpens on so many of those like religious kind of annotations, like, if you're somebody that has a lot of faith, a good portion of the study of faith and the study of religion is that battle between good and evil, and, those two forces that are within us, right? Like Ren talks about in High Ren, that pendulum that makes us human. We aren't of the heavens and we're not of hell. We're embodied with both forces trying to pull us in either direction. And for me, at least, I can relate to the feeling of like that darkness trying to push you and wanting to take over, but also at the same time, I feel like I've been able to solve that for myself with religion, and with God. And, it doesn't mean you're never going to have those temptations or never going to be pushed, but, you have aside your monster, you have your savior too. And so you got the two forces to listen to, the yin and the yang, and it doesn't make the monster disappear, but your life is going to go better when you listen to the savior rather than the monster. If that makes any sense, I don't know, but that's just kind of how I feel. So it doesn't really the song doesn't bother me as much as I think it would people that haven't found that salvation of the savior on their other shoulder, and all they have is the monster trying to get them to do the bad things. That's a really hard life to be in, that's a really hard experience to have. And you got to find that peace, man. Find that love, find that light, whatever you want to call it. I personally call it Jesus and God, but I'm not arrogant enough to say that, the way God has presented it and embodied himself for me is necessarily going to be reflective of the same way he represents and embodies himself for everybody. And whatever leads you to that salvation and that savior, I think it's much easier when you have one on either shoulder, I guess is all I'm trying to say. Pulls back to high Ren, balancing the pendulum between light and dark. Yes, exactly. Me and you, same wavelength there. It's just very Danny Elfman ending. Yeah. No, that one was good though. Definitely not a car banger. More of one of those songs that you would play when you're going through some struggles and you're feeling that temptation of just, letting that anger win or letting that hatred win or whatever else. Something to kind of cope with that moment of frustration. Man, I said all of these are going to be dark like that? Oh boy. Well, we got Mason Jar next. Oh no. Oh yeah, let me do the sign off for that one. Another great song, Ren and Webby, Me and My Monster. Very interesting. Very fascinating look at, the idea of kind of that evil influence in all of us. But that's it for today, guys. Let's get back to work. Keep praying. See you in the next one. All right. If you weren't here earlier, I'm chopping these up into separate videos, so I had to do a sign off after each one. Yeah, cool song, but unlikely to be played again. I definitely think I could listen to it in the right moment. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's almost like when I was dealing with the death of my mom and I was going through some dark times, that's kind of the time period I would feel like listening to a track like that. I feel like, I don't know if that makes sense, but I was kind of fighting those demons in my head of, what's the point of all this and where's the cosmic justice and stuff like that. When you're grappling with those questions, that seems like the type of vibe for that song, which I'm not in, but Mason Jar, you don't understand at all. Interesting. We'll see if I understand the concept at all. Ooh, Dr. Meyers hits too close to home for you, Kathy. Yeah, Kathy, I figured, some people wanted to just see the reactions to all of them, and others wanted it chopped up in videos. And I was like, you know, I haven't been live in a while. Maybe I should go live. I'll do a full recording session, get through all of them, so the people that want to watch them, the whole thing, binge watch it can, and then I can chop them up and post into individual videos and release them out. So it's kind of what I'm doing. Plus, you know, I kind of like, I miss going live. You guys don't really know this about me because you probably only know me since the YouTube days, but I used to go live 2 to 3 times a week, sometimes as much as 5 times a week in my old business. So I kind of miss like just being live and interacting with chat and everything else. I haven't done it much on YouTube yet. I don't know, maybe I should start. But you know, when I record my videos, I'm not cutting much out. It's a live, fresh reaction. All the stuff I'm saying is off the top of my dome, just like I'm doing right now. You know, I'll cut out like ums and ahs and pauses and try and make it more visually interesting if I'm yammering on about something. But I'm not, you know, cutting out big segments or doing anything weird. So it's totally something I could do live, you know, do my recording sessions or my reactions live too. It wouldn't really hurt anything, but and I was up super early today, so I figured it was a good time because got about till 8 a.m. when the kiddo wakes up, and then I couldn't really do a live because he would be barging in every 5 minutes. I've been jamming End of the World and listening to Asylum. I loved End of the World. End of the World was so good. It might be my favorite song off this album. So if you like Asylum too, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, definitely. All right.
I've been on a
Get that. Another new release from Ren and Webby's Impatient album Asylum is Mason Jar, part of the 7 songs they dropped. This is a visualizer, so I mean it's obviously a real video, but I'm just assuming they're not going to take part in it or be in it. And that's why it's called a visualizer. But it's pretty interesting. Well, so far the album's been great, but of this 7-song drop, we've listened to End of the World. That was amazing. Kind of a cheerful nod to, kind of a cheerful nod to like Armageddon, basically. And then the monster one, which, you know, was kind of talking about that dark evilness within us. I have no idea what Mason Jar will be about. I'm guessing it is going to be some kind of, metaphor for something. Oh, I guess we'll see.
way, cutting ketamine with a Home Depot card, and it's got me on a way.
Okay. I wasn't prepared for cutting ketamine with a Home Depot card. Webby, man. Webby brings the most random shit into the songs, I swear. All right. Okay.
I've been on a way, cutting ketamine with a Home Depot card, and it's got me on a way. Quarter ounce in a mushroom chocolate bar, yeah, it's got me on a wave. I've been on a wave. Yeah, we're so high that JP forgot how to make beats. Now he's drumming on a mason jar.
Dude, he's just talking about doing a bunch of drugs with Webby and Ren. Is that the song? Now we're so high that JP is pounding on a mason jar. This, I think, is kind of an interesting visual to start the song off with. I mean, I have no idea what the song's going to be about, right? But we start with just this empty fridge, right? And the mason jar has been used in a bunch of music throughout years, especially in like country music and stuff, to kind of symbolize like an empty vessel, right? And so I'm not sure if that's where they're going with it with the song, but you know, you got the fridge completely empty, and then they're packing all these different things into it. And then they're also talking about the drugs and stuff they're doing. So it's almost like, you know, I mean, not to sound cliche, but like you are what you eat, or you are what you consume and put into you. You know, you're an empty mason jar, and how you decide to fill it is up to you. I don't know.
It's got me on
I love the style of the song, though. Love the style.
quarter ounce in a mushroom chocolate bar. Yeah, it's got me on a wave. I've been on a wave. Yeah, we're so high that JP forgot how to make beats. Now he's drumming on a mason jar. Yeah, I line up that kitty cat pretty fat, then I'm sniffing that lighter ciggy, some sticky, then sip some whiskey to piggyback the effects as they get to me. I perfected the recipe with some acid to microdose and some excellent ecstasy. Gone banjo kazooie, I got some 2C to boost me. I cop some kid up in Canada with them loonies and toonies. I'm in the room with some groupies and that coke.
Dude, this is musically, as someone who, you know, worked at a recording studio back in the day, like this is musically just like a dope production, what they put together here. There's a whole lot of levels to this beat, and it's very like very intoxicating the way it builds on itself. Very cool.
Then I'm sniffing that lighter ciggy, some sticky, then sip some whiskey to piggyback the effects as they get to me. I perfected the recipe with some acid to microdose and some excellent ecstasy. Gone banjo kazooie, I got some 2C to boost me. I cop some kid up in Canada with them loonies and toonies. I'm in the room with some groupies and that cocaine on the plate that I microwave for 28 seconds and gave them a taste. I cut a gator for later, break up and roll in the reefer, stoner demeanor, eating pizza, playing Ghost of Tsushima. The graphics so realistic, I feel like I'm in Japan on ketamine like a horse. Them
Crystals are finer than sand.
just when I thought I was zooted, JP been raising the bar. Went from playing guitar, now he's fucking banging on jars. He's taking so many bong rips and blasting them higher. But honestly, this beat is actually fire.
That's what I was saying. Like I almost stopped the song earlier, and it's like, man, the beat almost outweighs like the vocals on this song, because the beat is so sick, and like he's got so many like I don't know if the sorry I don't know if the average person listens to this stuff, right? But when I'm listening to music, part of what my brain does just from the years working in the recording studio is kind of like deconstructs it a little bit, and there's like, I don't know, I count like 10 different levels of percussion built into this, and then he's like adding and removing them to like, you know, build up level and then drop, and then build up level and drop. Very, very cool. So this might kind of be the, you know, hat tip on the album to the producer JP of the album. I think this is what it is. It's kind of like his you know, kind of his time to shine. Because there's been songs on the album that definitely seemed to me like, you know, Webby was kind of almost taking a step back and letting Ren have the spotlight, and then Ren was stepping back and letting Webby have the spotlight and stuff like that. And I think this is a song where they're letting JP have the spotlight.
If in that lighter ciggy, some sticky, then sip some whiskey to piggyback the effects as they get to me. I perfected the recipe with some acid to microdose and some excellent ecstasy. Gone banjo kazooie, I got some 2C to boost me. I cop some kid up in Canada with them loonies and toonies. I'm in the room with some groupies and that cocaine on the plate that I microwave for 28 seconds and gave them a taste. I cut a gator for later, break up and roll in the reefer, stoner demeanor, eating pizza, playing Ghost of Tsushima. The graphics so realistic, I feel like I'm in Japan on ketamine like a horse. Them
Crystals are finer than sand.
just when I thought I was zooted, JP been raising the bar. Went from playing guitar, now he's fucking banging on jars. He's taking so many bong rips and blasting them higher. But honestly, this beat is actually fire. I've been on a way, cutting ketamine with a Home Depot card, and it's got me on a way, quarter ounce in a mushroom chocolate bar. Yeah, it's got me on a way, I've been on a way. drumming on a mason jar.
That part makes me crack up every time because it's like, I don't know, when you're making music, it's this weird thing where like you can make a song and a beat out of almost anything. That's kind of the beauty of it. I've actually even thought about, you know, doing some music and stuff again. I haven't done it in a lot of years, but just I've been so into like the editing software and stuff. And it's so similar layering together a video as what I used to do with music. And it's like you can do so much. Like I don't think I've even talked about this on the channel before, but there's many of like the sound effects or like different things I've done in videos that are kind of like silly or not something you might have like heard before or just kind of like added to a moment. It's stuff I did. Like I recorded it and then edited it to make like, it doesn't sound like me or anything, but I'll do some voice or something, you know, like, you know, that was fire. And then just mess with it to where it's like this low, you know, sounding almost like video game sounding voice or something. And so you might see it in the video or something and it just says that was fire in a low tone. Not know that was actually me. I did that. That's my voice, not anybody else's. So the idea here of like making this whole beat off of smacking on a mason jar, I love it. It's beautiful. That's the type of music stuff that I really enjoy. And like there's so many layers to this beat and stuff, and it's a very enjoyable song, man. This would be something I would bump for sure. And we're not even done with the song. We're only like a minute and a half into it. So yeah, they just released them yesterday. They released 7 songs, the whole rest of the album yesterday. I'm binge reacting to them and then I'll put out the videos separately, but
Chocolate bar, yes, got me on a wave, vibing on a wave. Yeah, we're so high that JP forgot how to make beats. Now he's drumming on a mason jar. Sometimes sick boy get so lazy, smoking caddy, kush get baby. Sometimes labels act so shady. That's my song, that fuck you, pay me. Never bite the hand that gives, motherfucker. I milk cartoons like the milkman's mother. Bulletproof bars, bullets bounce back, sucker. Click, clap, I'm the cover. My brother, compadre, amigo. Pass me the spliff and I hit like a free throw. Netflix kid getting high, watch a peep show. Scratch that itch in the belly when she deep throat. The sick boy so vulgar, too old to mature. When I'm older, hold this spliff, let JP take over. I'm so cooked, I need to get sober. I never made a verse this high. Webby man, I think I'm gonna die. I need to lie down with the lights out, time out, but to pass out on the couch.
bro, I'm loving this song. This is great, man. Good morning. What's up, everybody? Dude, this I'm loving. This might be like one of my top songs off the album too, man. I am digging this. The beat's sick. Webby was insane. Ren comes in kind of a shocking manner. Like, I know he can rap and rap really good, but I just, it never ceases to surprise me how well he can change up his style, his voice, his cadence, his pronunciation to like fit a certain genre and song style. Like, it's unreal. I mean, most artists, they spend their whole life trying to fine tune that, like, that cadence and that speaking style and that rhythm and that way that they do things to get it perfect and then present it to the world. And so all of their features are like sound the same stuff. And that's why, like, you have guys that they can't really do, you know, softer songs, and they can't really, you know, because their voice is too hard, or they can only do soft songs because the voice that they've come up with and the cadence and everything is more of a gentle one. You know, think of like, if you're like my age, think of like DMX, right? You can't, like a DMX doing a slow love song, right? That doesn't make sense. And so I don't know, man, Ren came in and surprised me again, because like his cadence and his style match the tone of this song so far perfectly. It's beautiful, beautiful.
Never bite the hand that gives, motherfucker. I milk cartoons like the milkman's mother. Bulletproof bars, bullets bounce back, sucker. Click, clap, I'm the cover. My brother, compadre, amigo. Pass me the spliff and I hit like a free throw. Netflix kid getting high, watch a peep show. Scratch that itch in the belly when she deep throat. The sick was so vulgar, too old to mature. older when I'm older. Hold this spliff, let JP take over. I'm so cooked, I need to get sober. I never made a verse this high. Webby man, I think I'm gonna die. Need to lie down with the lights out, time out. But to pass out on the couch, I'm not fucking about. Cause I'm tripping for Britain, the curtains are dripping. The music, it's skipping. Feel so sick, my stomach keep flipping. One more hit, man, fuck it, we're living.
If you guys weren't on your headphones there, that part where he was talking about like, I'm slipping, I'm tripping, when he's like worried he's done too much and is gonna die, which, hey, we've all had a friend there, right? Some of us might have been that friend, not me, but I've had friends that I had to call the ambulance for. But if you guys aren't on headphones, you didn't catch that, but he did like a left-right audio jolt back and forth during that part. That was pretty cool.
Music, skipping. Feel so sick, my stomach keep flipping. One more hit, man, fuck it, we're living.
Cutting ketamine with a Home Depot card.
Yeah.
And it's got me on a way. Quarter ounce in a mushroom chocolate bar. Yeah, it's got me on a way. Vibing on a way. Yeah, we're so high that JP forgot how to make beats. Now he's drumming on a mason jar.
If you guys can't tell, I thought this would be self-evident at this point, but he is literally playing a mason jar for the beat. I don't think I said that. They say it in the song, but you can tell he's hitting different parts of the mason jar to make different tones, using either something like a loop reel or a beat machine or something like that. He recorded different sounds tapping on a mason jar and created this beat. So
A mason jar.
that's why I've been so geeked about this since the beginning, because I noticed that right from the get-go. Love it. Oop, that's going on to the next one. Not yet.
I've been on a
Awesome. I loved it. Seemed like they were trying to give JP his flowers on this one. Obviously, Ren and Webby stepped in with awesome verses, but I think the main purpose of the song was to really just give JP his flowers and let him just kind of go off creatively on a song. And he, made a beat with a mason jar, and they laid some cool vocals over it. The song itself seemed to be really kind of giving a testament to that whole like drug lifestyle, or not necessarily drug lifestyle, because like drugs have such a weird connotation, right? Because you got like drug users that are like heroin addicts and stuff, and then you got drug users that are trying to like free their mind and have self-expression or deliver themselves from pain or self-medicate or other stuff like that. So it's a little bit different, but kind of that like Timothy Leary type of ideology, or like Eminem's drug ballot type of thing. And I think the mason jar is kind of an analogy, like I was thinking in the beginning, for all of us. Like, we're this empty vessel, and it depends on what we fill it with, on what we're going to be. And, you can fill it with a lot of like mind expanding drugs. You can fill it with a lot of healthy food and good lifestyle, like they do in the beginning here. Or, you can fill it with a bunch of hate, anger, and negativity. You can do a lot of things. But we all kind of start out the same blank vessel. At least that's what I'm taking away from it. But I think it was an opportunity for them to give JP his flowers on the album. Not that he needs it per se. The album's been masterfully produced. And that's not just me as a listener. I used to work in music production a long time ago. So very, very well done. I really like that one. That's one of my top ones for the album too. Definitely in the top 5, maybe even top 3. So what we got next? Dr. Meyers. All my thoughts are turning blue. Interesting. What'd you guys think of that one? Mason jar. What are your thoughts? I gotta do my outro real quick too. Mason jar, loved it. Definitely going on my playlist. Shout out to JP. Awesome idea making the beat with the mason jar too. let's get back to work, guys. Keep praying. See you in the next one. All right. Did the outro. Odd thing to wake up to. Yeah, a little bit. So Dr. Meyers is a pretty dark one. Silence looks like a dark one. I mean, you got a stretcher there and a, what's some type of first responder. I don't know if it's a cop or a medical worker or what. Yeah, I feel you there, JR. I've been pounding some soda to get me all woke up. Good to see everybody this morning, though. I hope you guys are having a good day. I was excited to, I knew this day was coming, that they were dropping all these, and I was really excited to record all of them. So this is kind of a fun way to do it with all of you guys. So thank you guys for being here, hanging out. If you're hearing them for the first time with me, then let me know what you think too. If you already heard it, because you couldn't wait, then fair. Morning, everybody. Sun creeping up. All right, let's see. Dr. Meyers. My guess is going to be something to do with the medical system, maybe psychiatric system. I don't know. I dropped my squishy a minute ago, though. Ugh. So I'm like a super fidgety person, if y'all can't tell. And I've been obsessed lately with like these squishies. I've got like 20 of them. And if you're someone like me, this is like the best thing ever. Because I normally what I do is pick at my fingers, which is not good. Like rip little chunks of skin out or pick on calluses and stuff, which isn't good. But this works just as well, man. I can sit here and twiddle my thumbs all I want with the squishy. It seems like such a silly thing, but I guess that's why stress balls have been around for forever. Dr. Meyers was only finished uploading within 10 minutes of them going live. Wow. Oh, you're in Germany, Kate. One of my best friends in the world is in Germany too. He's on the base there in Germany, the big one. I can't remember the name, but the really big one, Air Force. I talk to him like once a week. Real good guys. Loves Germany. Loves Germany. He started a barbecue company out there. If you want American barbecue, I'll send you his link. But the German people been loving the American style barbecue. All right. Are we ready for another dark one? I feel like this is going to be a pretty dark one. That's why I'm... Yeah, Ramsfield. Yeah, that's it. Yep. I'm stalling a bit because it's going to be a dark one. I can tell. Oh, nice. Ren, Webby, dark, never. Yeah, I know, right? All right, guys, we got Dr. Meyers lyric video from Ren and Webby's new album, Asylum, part of their Impatient. We've been going through all their new songs they just dropped, the 7 that they dropped, and we are on to this one, Dr. Meyers. All right, let's see. This seems like it's going to get a little dark. So
turning blue. Tell me what's the boy to do? All my yesterdays are fading from the view.
Who is that singing? That doesn't sound like Ren or Webby. It sounds like it's recorded on like a really old style microphone, one of those like can condenser mics that sounds like that, like an old radio broadcast.
All my thoughts are turning blue. Tell me what's the boy to do? All my yesterdays are fading from the view. And every night I lay awake, waiting for the day to break, just to share another memory with you.
Okay.
Dear diary, it's Jeremiah. I've been trying more to write because these nights get mighty long upon this ward right after light. The bedside lamp illuminates the trailing path of my pen. That's how I feel about the good Dr. Myers, my friend. You see, so Dr. Myers said that I'm responding so exquisitely and physically responsive to prescriptions on delivery. I'm fit to be walking out here in 3 weeks tops. I wanna be just like the doctor when I grow up. Mommy said that we got lucky cause we can't afford none. And getting let into this trial was a gift from the sun. And we got shined on from the heavens, man, this doctor's my hero.
Like where this is going, man. You got a kid in some medical trial. Oh, man. I hate stuff when stuff happens to kids.
When I grow up, Mommy said that we got lucky cause we can't afford none. And getting let into this trial was a gift from the sun. And we got shined on from the heavens, man, this doctor's my hero. He sometimes jokes around and calls me patient zero, cause my patience zero. I mean, I'm kinda hyper, I'm prone to be staying up and pulling all-nighters. And these side effects kind of make my sleeping a nightmare. My mouth gets dry sometimes, no saliva. The pain ain't stopping, but the doctor said patience. My patience is zero. I told you I hate it. The doctor said that it gets dark before dawn. Every rose has its thorns, best to weather the storm. So 4 in the morning, I'll say goodnight. And if I sleep, then it's a blessing from the holy skies. Every night is a drag, but the daytime's nice, cause Dr. Myers will be there, so I know I'll be fine.
All my thoughts are turning blue. Tell me what's the boy to do?
I hate this so much. Like this, I love the song. Like the song sounds great, but it's like listening to Eminem Stand for the first time. Like I'm just I feel like this is gonna end really ugly. And I hate when bad things happen to kids.
My thoughts are turning blue. Tell me what's the boy to do? All my yesterdays are fading from the view. And every night I lay awake, waiting for the day to break, just to share another memory with you.
Dr. Rick Meyers, September 21st. Patient 13 appears to be getting worse. It's seeming like these treatments not only failed to work, but have made his condition critical. Crippling adverse symptoms and side effects like the last 12 kids. Pardon me, I mean test subjects. I gotta give myself distance from my feelings. This is science, nothing more. And so I hide behind that mindset anytime that I'm unsure. I was hired to find a cure, and so at times I come off heartless. But my job's to stay on target and bring this product to market. Gotta keep the funding coming, gotta finish what we started. Gotta crack some eggs to make this multi-million-dollar omelet. With these corporate pharma reps, and they've been breathing down my neck. And they're the ones who write the checks, really, what the fuck you expect? I got a wife and 2 boys of my own I gotta protect. So these kids at the clinic are just numbers I've written next to the date and time of the test. Nothing more, nothing less. Blame the parents if you want it, they signed a form of consent. But this Jeremiah kid, there I go again. Patient 13, I mean, something about him's different. Says he wants to be like me, and so I say that he'll become an even better doctor, knowing that that day will never come. His pulse has been getting weaker, now there's fluid in his lungs.
Dr. Myers?
Get some rest, patient 0, we're almost
All
done.
my thoughts are turning blue. Tell me what's the boy to do?
Why you gotta do this to us, you know? Poor kid. I mean, it's the fucked up reality of medicine though, right? And like I've had several of my family members that worked in the medical field, including my mom, who was a nurse for most of her life. And like a lot of the people in the medical field, you know, they're just trying to do the good thing and trying to find cures. And you can't find cures without testing people, but then there's money behind it, and then money becomes the motivation, right? Because you have a big corporations behind the medicine, and so then they're choosing profits over everything else because that's the fiduciary responsibility of a corporation. Like legally, you know, it's funny. There's a not well-known story about Henry Ford, where Henry Ford, back when he was building the Model T and stuff, he was actually paying his employees so much that another company, I don't remember if it was Dodge or Chrysler or Daimler or whoever, but one of them sued him because he wasn't taking fiduciary responsibility. They invested in Ford, and then they sued him to pay his workers less and give them less benefits, because since he was paying his line level, you know, manufacturer so much, it was well above the market rates at the time. I mean, these people, it's like paying, you know, it's like if you run a successful grocery store and you're paying your checkout clerks $200 an hour, right? They literally sued him to pay them within market rates, to cut their pay by like 70%, because that was his fiduciary responsibility, because he's not making as much money as the company. And once it becomes publicly traded, well, now you have a fiduciary responsibility to make as much money for the company as possible, regardless of the, you know, what the right thing to do is, which is unfortunately what happens with medicine a lot. And I don't know if there's a clear solve for it, but it's so sad. I don't know what else is going to happen in this story, but it's giving me a lot of anxiety. Y'all wanted to see Steven stressed this morning. Ugh. I think doctors and politicians are similar in that I really do think most of them get into their professions in order to make things better. Problem is the system that drains it out of them. Yeah. It's true, man. You know, and I've known and still know people that are involved and trying to get involved with politics. My, what would it be, like step or half mother-in-law or whatever ran for Senate here in Oregon, and stuff like that. And like, there's a lot of good people out there and a lot of people that want to do the right things, but there's so much corruption in many of these systems. And just like in the hospitals, you know, my mom was a nurse, so I saw it firsthand, you know, them getting overstretched and stuff. I mean, they would literally have contract negotiations about how many hours, like the maximum hours they could work in a week, the maximum patients they could have in ICU, CCU. She was an ICU, CCU nurse, which is intensive care, critical care. And they have a thing called census and stuff like that. And that's what's messed up a lot of the hospital system in the US right now. I don't know if in Europe and stuff it's the same. Give me like 2 minutes for this tangent, okay? But like, that's what's messed up a lot of the system right now, is because we went through this COVID period where they were overworking the shit out of medical people and forcing them to get vaccines and stuff. So a lot of people left and retired. Like most of the boomer generation just left medicine during that time period. And now they have these contracts where it's like, you can only have 3 patients to an ICU nurse, which is good. That should be the case, because the company would love to have like 20 patients to an ICU nurse, right? But then the ICU nurse can't really do the critical care required of each of those patients that are in critical condition. And same thing with doctors, same thing with all these things in a hospital. There's all these highly negotiated census numbers of the maximum amount of patients you could have for a floor to be open, for per nurse, per doctor, per specialist, per everything, right? And so now you have all these people that left these fields, they can't hit consensus. I've been in the emergency room like a year or so ago, had to wait like 3-4 hours to get in. And, you know, the nurses were telling me like, oh, we have a whole floor empty. we just don't have enough nurses and doctors to make consensus. So, you know, but then like at the same time, the reverse isn't good either. You know, you don't want one doctor handling 100 patients or something, or, you know, one nurse handling 20 patients. So it's messed up. Yes, as a lot of, it's crazy, you know, I know so many people in the medical field that either retired or were fired or laid off or whatever for not wanting to get the jab. And I live in progressive Oregon, mind you, but a lot of them, like, they worked through the worst of the pandemic. You know, they had, and I was in the Northwest. You know, patient zero was in my old region that I used to manage. I actually know patient zero's son. I'm a friend of theirs. In Bellevue, Washington. And, or the first like hospital case. I don't know if he was, you know, he didn't go to China or anything, but it was the first hospital case. But we have a big Chinese, contingent of people that go in and out because there's so much tech stuff up in Washington. And so he was the first one, like the CDC came and took over his hospital room, and his family couldn't see him for 2 weeks while he was on a ventilator and everything else. Right at the beginning of COVID, the first registered one in the US, to my knowledge, at least at the time, that's what everybody said. So I don't know if anything's changed now. Maybe they figured out somebody in Florida had it or something before them, but anyway, I digress. The amount of the healthcare workers that had worked through that whole period and had been coughed on by people in the height of COVID and everything else, and had caught it and gotten over it multiple times. Like they didn't want to take some brand new vaccine that hasn't had any long-term tests or anything else. Like these people know the medicine, they know that's not a good idea, and they've already been exposed to it enough and built up immunity. So a lot of them took a hard line. We're talking about paramedics, nurses, doctors. I know all of them in those fields that left because of that. So, you know, and a lot of them were getting called to go back not long after. I think I'm stalling again because I don't want to finish this song. Oh, this song was really giving me anxiety. I feel like you want to mess with Steven, man, bring kids into it. I have such, ever since becoming a father, I have such an unbelievably large soft spot for kids. So anyway, all right, let's finish it up.
Days are fading from the view, and every night I lay awake, waiting for the day to break, just to share another memory with you.
Dr. Rick Meyers, September 29th. Patient 13 didn't make it through the night. His name was Jeremiah, and he loved to read and write. And I can't help but feel responsible. I gotta make this right. Gotta find that breakthrough, gotta give the company something, or else I'm afraid they'll start to lose interest and pull their funding. So I studied every study and double-checked every entry in the journal I've been writing, just hoping something will catch me. Didn't sleep for 3 days till I figured it out. And once I did, I knew that I could realistically vouch to have it finished up by Christmas. So I called and set a meet so I could tell my bosses I was just weeks away from complete. Little patient 13 and the 12 who came before him, and the sacrifice they gave us would be for something important. For the science to prevail, gotta learn to live with the losses. I repeated in my thoughts as I went to step in the office. Hey, I'm here for the meeting.
Oh yes, Dr. Michaels, have a seat.
It's Meyers. Just you here today?
Well, you know how busy things get.
Right, okay, well, anyways, I finally had a breakthrough in the research with the formula, and it's actually...
Okay, let me just stop you right there.
But...
We've decided to go in a different direction with the funding.
What?
Well, there's this new weight loss product in trials right now. Gila Monster Venom, actually.
Gila Monster?
Yeah, everyone's really excited about it over here.
But kids died on my watch.
Listen, we are so sorry to hear that.
You're sorry?
And we want to thank you so much for your hard work, Dr. Michaels.
Meyers.
Sure, and you really are one of our best and brightest.
But...
Listen, I'm sure we'll have another project with your name on it very soon.
No. Listen,
Great, I'll have my assistant reach out.
Assistant?
Have yourself a nice day.
All my thoughts are turning blue. Tell me what's the boy to do? All my yesterdays are fading from the view. And every night I lay awake, waiting for the day to break, just to share another memory with you.
Damn. You know, even though it's a fictitious story, I assume, it's a very real story. I mean, I was literally explaining some of this stuff earlier in the video before we even got to that point. Actually, this is a good example. We're live. You guys seen it live. Okay, I was talking about how a lot of medical people are trying to do the right thing, and then, you know, it ends up, you know, becoming horrible because of the pursuit of money and everything else within the industry. This is literally what we were talking about. Ends up being the point of this song. So all those people that like to think any of this pre-watched, well, couldn't have pre-watched this. You guys just watched it with me live. Oh, that was a depressing one. Silence is going to be depressing too. Yeah, it's a horrible situation, but it's... The sad thing is, like, that shit really happens all the time. And, like, this is kind of a dramatized example, but real stuff like that happens in the hospitals every single day. You know, people don't get the treatment because they don't have the consensus, or people are waiting on treatment because they don't have, or I keep saying consensus, census. Or people are waiting on treatment because they don't have the census to, you know, have the right personnel to do the treatment or whatever else. I mean, they may not always die from it, but could things have been better? Like, for instance, in the example I was talking about earlier where I went to the ER, the reason I went to the ER is I was working on some stuff for the house. I went over to borrow something from the neighbor, and I was on their porch, and I fell off their porch accidentally, probably because I was just, you know, tired from doing a bunch of manual labor stuff over in our house. I ended up tripping and falling off their porch like 3 or 4 feet directly onto a concrete brick on the side of my head, split the side of my head open and everything. And so I'm bleeding out of my head, bleeding into my eye and everything, lost consciousness for, I don't know, 5-10 seconds, nothing too extreme. When I got back up, I couldn't see out of my right eye. And then a really weird sensation that I've never had happen before in my life. I've been knocked out a bunch of times, right? Like, I used to fight, you know, for anger and for competition. So I've been knocked out a fair amount of times, but I've never had this happen where I woke up, I couldn't see out of this eye, and then after about 10-15 seconds, my vision came back, and it came back after multiple, like, flashes and blinks, almost like an old CRT TV turning on. It, like, blink, 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 and then my vision was back in that eye, and it was very startling. But that's how my vision came back in that eye, like 15, 20, 30 seconds after I regained consciousness. So anyway, so I was waiting in the hospital for 4 hours. Could have a brain bleed, you know, could have all sorts of things before I'm seen by anybody, because they don't have enough census, because everybody is short-staffed after the COVID situation. So yeah, it's so hard with kids. A lot of parents are going through rough situations, man. There's always some of that happening in the world. It's sad. Yeah, Kate, I kind of feel the same way. I pray every night. nothing ever happens to my son, because I don't know how I would take it. I really, really don't. That dude means everything to me. All right. We got Impatient, Ren and Webby, Silence. Off their new album, another visualizer. Oh, I didn't do my closeout on that one. Shoot. All right, hold on. Well, that was kind of depressing, but a good song, well put together, and a nice ballad style storytelling of a very real thing that's happening, not only in our medical industry, but in science in general. So let's get back to work, guys. Keep praying. I'll see you in the next one. All right. JR. Oh, thanks, JR. I needed a laugh after that last one. He said, huh, you mean in the 70s I didn't have to do drugs to get weird visuals? I could have just thrown myself off various porches. Yes, apparently. Oh. Oh, wow. Yeah, no, it was weird. It was a trippy thing. It wasn't really like a hallucination or anything like that. It was literally like, it was a sensation I've never had before. And like I said, I cannot impress on you guys how many times I've been knocked out. Okay. I had an anger issue until I was probably about like 16 or 17. I fought mixed martial arts. I'm belted in like 3 or 4 martial arts. I don't even remember anymore. I've been in hundreds of fights in my life, been knocked out a bunch of times. You don't get the big ass crooked nose like this from not being in some fights in your life, okay? I've been in a lot of fights. I played football. I had 3 concussions playing football. I wrestled, did MMA. So I've been knocked out a lot. I've never, like, opened my eyes, can see out of one, and the other one is just pitch black. Nothing. Like I'm blind. And the sheer terror that sent down my spine for like the 20, 15 or 20 seconds that it was there was horrifying, because I thought I had just lost my right eye. Like, I just woke up from falling. I didn't even really remember falling. I remember my ankle twisting as I tripped, and then I remember waking up on the ground and not being able to see and blood coming out of my head. And, yeah, that was a terrifying, like 15, 20 seconds before the vision came back. And then it comes back in this like blink, you know, I can see black. I can see black. I can see black, 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 see black, see black, see black, see. And it was back, and it was, whew, scary, scary. Kate Mo. Oh, sorry. I whacked the mic. Kate Mo, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the gift. Really, really appreciate it. I do. We're trying to make the content thing a full time, you know? So it really, really helps. Thank you so much for the gift there. Appreciate the tip. Kamo, this is the first time I've ever done a live reaction. So if you don't know much about me, I started my social media career like 6 years ago, but I was doing it to like promote my business, and I did very well with my business. And then I ended up getting like caught up in a suppression campaign, which we had a bunch of those in the US during the last administration on social media. You know, you might have seen like Twitter files and other things like that. So I ended up getting like all my accounts closed. I got debanked, everything. It was horrible. And pretty much stepped away from social media for like 1.5 to 2 years because it was so devastating to me personally and financially. And I mean, I had 7 employees at the time that I had to let all of them go. So it sucked. is a long way of saying saying that. And so I just started doing content again like 6 months ago. Been doing some music reactions, political reactions, YouTube reactions, stuff like that. Still kind of figuring out what direction I want to go in totally. But you know, I used to do lives all the time for my business, answering questions, stuff like that. So if I seem very decent at yapping and talking to chat and stuff like that, and this being my first time, that's why, because I used to do this all the time. It was just more geared around my business and selling things, not around, you know, reacting to content. So oh, okay, yeah, sorry Kate, I know, I thought I'd seen your name around, so I was no, I never did any live reactions before. They dropped 7 songs, and I literally I was getting all ready. I got everything ready, and I was about to sit down and record all the reactions. And I was like, you know what? My son's not going to be up for like 4 hours. I could probably just go live and do this, you know? Because I've always said I could do my reactions live. Like, I don't edit much out. I'm going to edit more out of this than I probably ever edited out of any of them, because I'm, you know, talking with you guys and stuff so much. But the reactions itself, like, are pretty much you're watching kind of a live reaction when you watch my video. I just, you know, might zoom in the camera or something like that into my face to keep from that eye fatigue, you know, if there's 3 minutes of me yapping about something. So, but yeah, love you guys. Appreciate y'all being here this morning. 25 current viewers, over 100 people have come into the stream. I didn't expect to get that, I swear. I thought there'd be maybe one person in here. So I'm stoked that so many of you guys are here watching these with me. This is awesome. Thank you guys. This does, I was thinking the same thing. It's just, this looks like, I don't know. It gives me that real, like, it makes me think of like Vincent Tales or Tale of Jenny and Screech or something like that. Maybe it's just because the police and everything are around, but I don't know. Let's dive into this one though. Okay. All right, guys. Another new release from Ren and Webby INPATIENT. This is their silence visualizer. First time watching this, first reaction. Let's see. I've heard this one is going to be kind of dark. Some of their ones off their album have been kind of dark, so let's see. Okay. We got the reggaeton vibes. I'm digging it.
The sound of silence, it sounds so sweet. Precipitating violence on these Brighton streets. Tommy boy.
I realize this is like a really dark image and everything to start with, but I don't know why. There's just something about Ren singing reggae that just makes my soul feel good. Like, it's really weird. It's like he's, man, I don't even know what you liken him to, like Bob Marley or Damien or Ziggy or something like that, but it's just one of those, it's one of those things. Reggae is just that type of music that when somebody's singing it with the right soul and stuff, it just warms your heart. So it's kind of weird that like he's coming in with that. You get that kind of like warm, good feeling as you're seeing this, you know, obviously supposed to be
so
sad
sweet.
scene.
Precipitating violence on these Brighton streets. Tommy boy weighs down like 15 stellars on his ones like a cappella. The beginning of the end, this night was Alpha and Omega. Necker, Jaeger, bomb invader, stomach lining, vodka chaser. Drunken and disorderly, no ordinary behavior. He was fucking smashed, to put it lightly. Stumbles off his stool and calls the barmaid not politely. Dicey glances from security, certainly they get lively. Waiting for a reason to leave Tommy boy untidy. What a state, you barred mate. Procedure, he vacates the place to meet his dealer. Fetch a gram of white, a side of reefer. A shaky fate awaits the shady geezer.
Dude, I might have to turn on captions for this. He's going so quick for me. and there's no lyrics on screen. It took me a sec before I realized when they rolled the gurney away that there was a body bag there. I didn't even catch that at first.
Drunken and disorderly, no ordinary behavior. He was fucking smashed to put it.
I didn't even catch that on the first listen. He was fucking smashed. Oh my gosh.
Disorderly, no ordinary behavior. He was fucking smashed to put it lightly. Stumbles off his stool and calls the barmaid not politely. Dicey glances from security, certainly they get lively. Waiting for a reason to leave Tommy boy untidy. What a state, your barmaid procedure. He vacates the place to meet his dealer. Fetch a gram of white, a side of reefer. A shaky fate awaits the shady geezer. I need a couple of everything, ecstasy, cocaine and ketamine, nitrous amphetamine, masculine hit and a little blue pill so my dude stays stiff. Wasted, Tommy gets white boy wasted, that's white on the gums, can't taste it. Neck and knee then gun till your face shift, it's adjacent to the pavement. Stumble down Brighton pavement like it's fear and loathing in Vegas. There's a yank on the sidewalk pacing, so Tommy squares up like silence. It sounds so sweet.
So it seems like this is, I don't know if the visuals are supposed to be representative of the song or not, but it sounds like he's talking about the story of somebody either that did too much drugs and got themselves killed or just OD'd and died in the street or something like that, which is an interesting concept. These guys talk about ketamine a lot. Is ketamine like big over there in Europe or something? I don't know. Like, I feel like hearing people talk about ketamine to me is like hearing people talk about Quaaludes. It's not like the most common type of drug, you know, but I guess 4+ years in music. I need captions just walking around. Yeah. I feel that. I love the shout out to Fear and Loathing. I'm a huge, not just Fear and Loathing, but Hunter S. Thompson fan. I don't know, man. I think it just takes a certain type of weird person. This is why I say me and Ren, I always feel like we have some kind of weird connection. The fact he, you know, calls out Fear and Loathing in this, which is like a Hunter S. Thompson thing. I literally like, on which I can't tell my sides here. I have a Hunter S. Thompson tattoo. For you guys that don't know, this is Buy the Ticket, Take the Ride, which is from Fear and Loathing. That's the Ralph Steadman, who is the one that did like that like really like melting artwork style, that Salvador Dali-esque art style for the Fear and Loathing video cover and stuff like that. Saza. See you later. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird how I'm always like connecting in with the stuff that he puts into the songs, but I wonder where he's going to take this story, right? Because a guy just, you know, ODing on drugs in the street. I mean, it sucks and it's sad, but you can tell that story pretty quick. I don't know. Let's see.
Loving in Vegas, there's a yank on the sidewalk pacing, so Tommy squares up like silence. It sounds so sweet. Precipitating on these Brighton streets. Timothy was in the UK only for a few days. Had a business conference Monday night, but then on Tuesday he went to see the sights and Ubered out to Brighton before he had that return flight to Staten Island. And you see now Timmy had the wife and kids at home, so in recent years he left to drink alone. But he's a whole ocean away, and when in Rome, what could go wrong? Was the mindset that he had that evening. Just one quick drink before leaving, ordered a dirty martini, soaked in the sights he was seeing. Had to go and hit that water closet, and he had himself one hell of a piss. Walked back to the bar, left a real good tip, and he saw that his drink had a few more sips, so he drank it down and then walked outside, not knowing that he would be in for a ride. Cause all of a sudden he feels like he's high and his vision is blurring and he don't know why. Roofie, Timmy got...
Oh man, that sucks. This is a real thing too, that I don't know why we don't want to talk about it in society so much. I'm glad they're talking about it, but dude, this shit has happened to me. I'm not kidding. So I used to, in my old business, I used to go do a lot of shows, and I would do shows in Vegas, in Long Beach, California, in Chicago. And it happened to me for sure once in Vegas. And I was out with a group of fellow dealers and stuff. And granted, I made a target of myself. Like, I get that in retrospect, right? Because at the time I had a lot of money and I was dealing in gold and silver. So I had access to a lot of, expensive jewelry and stuff. So I'm wearing gold chain. I got on, a $25,000 Rolex. I got probably $50,000 or $100,000 on of like gold rings and gold chains and stuff like that. Out at the bar, just having a good night, chilling with the other dealers and stuff. And we're drinking, having a good time, everything. Night starts wrapping up. And if you've been to Vegas before, and especially if you've gone out drinking in the casinos in Vegas, there's this thing that every guy knows where the, what's the proper words to use? Yeah, clarify. I was a dealer of precious metals, guys, okay? Not that kind of dealer. But the ladies of the night are very aggressive in some places in Vegas. It's not even like, it's kind of like strippers at a strip club or something. Like, they're really trying to find, their paycheck for the evening. Okay. And for the most part, a lot of the casinos and bars and stuff don't really care. But like, so these girls will come around and kind of harass you, especially if you're a guy that looks like, you got some money. They'll come up, they'll grab your arm, they'll rub on your arm, they'll put their arm around you, whatever else. Hey, you looking for company tonight? You want somebody to come back with you tonight? Blah, 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 blah. And so, you just kind of got to like shoo them away every like 5 or 10 minutes when you're out at a bar in Vegas, if you're a man. And so it gets towards the end of the night. Most of my friends has left. I got like one friend there. We're chatting with this other group of people. Like, we're at like this bar, and I'm trying to describe this in a way that makes sense visually. So there's the casino, and then there's like a bar against a wall, right? A big long bar. Everybody's there. Me and my friends, very social, right? I'm an extrovert. My friends were extroverts. And so we're yapping with this other group of guys. There's a group of girls there. They're yapping with us. There's, so we got like, I only got like one person left that I'm friends with, but I'm talking with like 10 or 15 people, right? And there's this one girl there. It's obviously a working girl. Keeps trying to like, entice me to be her fare for the night. And I keep kind of shooing her away. So as my friends leave, there's like one guy left or whatever. I have my last drink and I just start feeling weird, like something don't seem right, everything else. So I tell my buddy, hey, I'm going to go get a cab, go home. I go walking towards the front to get the cab. We'll go back to my hotel rather. And she comes up and like grabs my arm and starts like trying to walk with me. And it's like, oh, so you're gonna take me back with you? You're gonna blah, 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 trying to do her whole sales pitch. And I'm just like, no, I'm good. No, I'm good. No, I'm good. No, I'm good. So, but like, I really have to aggressively shoo her off. Like, I think she follows me all the way out to like the cab. And I eventually got rid of her and got in the cab. But the next thing I know, I wake up, I'm at the hotel. The cabbie's like smacking me to wake me up. Okay. And I'm a big dude. Okay. I'm 6'3", 300 pounds. I did not do enough drinking for me to be like black out like that. And so I'm like, whoa, that's really weird. Like, I can't believe I just passed out in the back of this cab. That's odd. And so, he and the people at the hotel usher me into the hotel. I end up going to like 2 wrong floors. Can't even find my hotel room because I'm not like disoriented and lost. By the time I get to my hotel room, I pass out face first, fully clothed, with still like my bags. Cause I would carry like a bag with like the money and stuff in it, like a shoulder bag, and everything. I pass out face first for that. Don't wake up until like 2 p.m. the next day. Luckily, my employees ran my booth at the show and everything, but they were all calling me, couldn't get a hold of me. They came by and knocked on the hotel room door, couldn't wake me up. From then on out, I gave all my employees a key to my hotel room. But yeah, so I wake up like 2 p.m. face first in the bed. I got all my stuff. I got all my money. I got all my jewelry. I look at my phone. I have like 800 missed calls from all my employees trying to wake me up and everything else. And I call my employee and tell him, dude, like, I guess I just drank way too much last night. I don't freaking know what happened. You know, I passed out and I just woke up, but my head is pounding, splitting me. Like, my body is aching all over. Like, I'm not going to make it to the show today. You guys are going to have to run it. Right. So I order room service, recover, everything else. I don't even think I'm feeling back to normal until like, you know, like the next day. Like it takes me like a whole day to recover from this thing the next morning of the show. So anyway, long story short, I get back home. I'm telling my dad about this incident and he's like, oh, well, it sounds like somebody spiked your drink. And I was like, shit, I never even thought about that. And he was like, yeah, it sounds like what you sound is like somebody that was dosed with a lot of either like a trank or a benzo. He said, sounds like somebody that was dosed with benzos. And yeah, so, I mean, I count my lucky stars. Nothing bad happened that night. I wasn't robbed. I wasn't anything else, but you know, after I've told that story to some of my friends have told me they've had the same thing happen to them at bars in LA and everything else, especially when they're, you know, wearing nice watches or expensive clothing or something else. And like, I don't drink much anymore. I pretty much have not drank at all for like the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, but I'm a big guy. I've always been able to handle my liquor. I don't think I've even thrown up from drinking since I was maybe like a teenager, let alone I've never in my life blacked out or anything. So, and I was just drinking like vodka oranges or like Sex on the Beaches or some crap like that. And everything about the end of that night is foggy to me and blurry to me even to this day. So I'm pretty positive I got dosed there. And my dad, who's, I don't know if I qualified this, but my dad's worked in medicine for his whole life. He's an EMT and paramedic and did all that kind of stuff. So he's been in emergency medical services literally his whole life, still works in that field. So if he says that sounds like I got dosed, I'm believing him. But sorry, that was a long story and a tangent to go on. Hopefully that was interesting. But I just wanted to make the point very clear. This shit happens. And it's really cool that Webby's actually gonna, you know, tell a story about that because nobody ever seems to really want to talk about it. It's like we hear about the, you know, the drugs in women's drinks and things happen to them, but we don't ever hear about it in guys' drinks. And I think it's just as prevalent because if I talk to my female friends about who's had a drink of theirs spiked, and I talk to my male friends, it's about the same number of people. It's for different reasons. You know, they're trying to rob the guy or do something to set him up or something. I don't know. I assume robbery was the motive in my instance. And obviously with a woman, they're looking for something different, but yeah. Anyway, I babbled on. Let's hear the rest of this.
Before leaving, ordered a dirty martini, soaked in the sights he was seeing. Had to go and hit that water closet, and he had himself one hell of a piss. Walked back to the bar, left a real good tip, and he saw that his drink had a few more sips. So we drank it down and then walked outside, not knowing that he will be in for a ride. Cause all of a sudden he feels like he's high and his vision is blurring and he don't know why. Roofie, Timmy got date rape roofie, like that hangover movie. And now he's in for a doozy, feeling woozy. And he truly could barely stand upright when he ran into some British dickhead looking to fight. So Timmy squared up like
Silence. It sounds so precipitating violence on these Brighton streets.
On a fateful night, on a Brighton street, two lost souls they face and meet. One deranged on booze, and the other spiked with GHB. So face to face with bloodshot eyes, they sow the seeds of their demise. On this Brighton street, where the darkness looms, these two young men will meet their doom.
Swing on punch.
I dip and duck.
Get fucked head butt.
Whoa, what the fuck?
You Yankee cunt.
Wait, I've been drunk.
Well, I guess that makes two of us.
No, really, man. Wait, hear me out. Just come a little closer.
Ow, you sneaky prick.
Oh, you like that shit? Free dental care.
My tooth is
They were
chipped.
fucked up anyways. You're a brick.
Nah, classic American culturalist.
We are the coast.
Suck my dick and then wash it down with some Ozempic.
Wait, what?
You people are fat and dumb.
Oh, yeah? Well, at least we got guns. Ever since 1781, we've been on top.
Lad, are you dumb?
Not yet, you fuck. Here's an uppercut.
But I'm ducking down and I chop his gut and I grab his coat and I pick him up.
But we both
This
fell
is-
down because I kicked his nuts.
Get off me.
This is like especially funny with it being Ren and Webby doing this, since like they, you know, one's British and one's English, like, and or one's British and one's American, and they're embodying these two characters as perfect.
Wait, I've been drunk.
Well, I guess that makes two of us.
No, really, man. Wait, hear me out. Just come a little closer.
Ow, you sneaky prick.
Oh, you like that shit? Free dental care.
My tooth is
They were
chipped.
fucked up anyways. You're a brick.
Nah, classic American culturalist.
We are the coast.
Suck my dick and then wash it down with some Ozempic.
Wait, what?
You people are fat and dumb.
Oh, yeah? Well, at least we got guns. Ever since 1781, we've been on top.
Lad, are you dumb?
Not yet, you fuck. Here's an uppercut.
But I'm ducking down and I chop his gut and I grab his coat and I pick him up.
But we both fell down because I kicked his nuts.
Get off me, you prick.
I can't. I'm stuck. I can't see straight.
No, really, get off. Cause fuck, we're about to get hit by this bus. Silence. It sounds so sweet. Precipitating violence at these streets. The sound of silence. It sounds so precipitating on these Brighton streets. Ah, fuck it, I'm done.
I mean, like, hear me out, okay? Was the subject matter dark? Absolutely. You got the sad story of these two guys that get hit by a bus and killed. But the way they did it was fun, at least. Like, the way they told the story. I mean, it was enjoyable. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but like this song was like torture to listen to. Like, I'll probably not willfully listen to this again, which is kind of like Money Game 3 for me. Like, I really liked Money Game 3, but it was rough for me to listen to. And so like, I'm not doing it again, but this one I could listen to again. And like, the whole idea of like the silence being peaceful after all this like calamity occurred and everything, I think is kind of an interesting analogy and everything too. I like the two kind of stories they give. You know, you got kind of a strung out person and then a person that was drugged. I don't know, at least from my experience, I don't see fighting when you're in that state, but hey, to each his own, I guess. Oh, so one of them got rolled out on the gurney and only one is in a body bag and we don't know which. Yeah, that does add a little bit of sadness to it. I would hope it's the father that makes it, but then again, is that the right thing? It's one of those trolley problems. Ren does the trolley problem like a lot in his music, and I think that that's one of the things I find fascinating about him, is because so many people are so black and white on what's good and what's bad nowadays. And personally, I find my moral compass from God and from religion, but other people don't have any religion, don't have any spirituality, and are basically getting their moral compass off of, I mean, I hate to say it, but like ego, more or less, off their own thoughts of what right and wrong really is. And so when you have situations aligned like a trolley problem where both answers suck, and so, you know, should you intervene to make one option suck less? You know, is one more morally right? Should we be rooting for the father to be on here? We don't know the whole backstory of the burnout, right? Maybe he's created cancer research or something. You know, burnouts come in all shapes and sizes. But the general desire would be that you'd want to see the father who's innocent in this situation. He didn't choose to do drugs. He didn't choose to start the fight and the altercation, you know. Ren was talking about the trolley problem with clinical trials. Oh, yeah. He's definitely a big fan of trolley problems, I can tell. Because so many of his songs set stuff up in that demographic where you feel a level of empathy for both characters. And so it's funny because even in the comments, you'll see people argue empathy over one side or the other. And it's like, that's the whole point, is that he set it up. So, you know, you can see it that way. It's kind of, he's kind of poking at your brain a little bit. Which is why it's, you know, it's some of that stuff. That's why I appreciate his music so much. We'll turn off captions for that one for now, unless we need it. All right, outro for that one. Well, that was certainly interesting. I love the reggae vibe, and I mean, really, I like the song. I think it's a good representation of kind of the trolley problem, and you know, who's really the evil person in that scenario, and who deserved to live and be on the gurney, and who deserves to be in the body bag, I think is what that video is supposed to leave you with. But let's get back to work, guys. Keep praying. See you in the next one. All right. Lunatic Lullaby. How's everybody doing? Everybody in the chat doing good? And take a little couple minutes before we start the next one. Get me a little more caffeine. I need to get a new mouse, man. This mouse is like the best mouse I've ever had. And I really like it. It's super lightweight. It's a Razer gaming mouse. But I've had it for like 7 years now. And the battery just does not hold on. Can you explain what a body bag is? The translation can't be right. What did I miss, Kate Mo? Did I miss some, or do you not know? So, you might be in another language. That's right. YouTube does all the dubbing and stuff now. So a body bag is where, you know, when somebody dies out in public, to give them dignity, they put a bag over them. Usually it's black. They lay them in it and then zip it closed, so that no one can see the dead body, so that they're hidden from the public. And it keeps all the fluids and everything else inside too. So are you watching, you speak a different language, Kate Mo? If so, which one? I'm interested. Or is that just not a German. Okay. Oh, that's right. That's right. We were talking about the German base earlier. That's cool. That's the cool thing about like online and internet and everything, man. You can have friends from all over the world nowadays. You didn't used to be able to do that. I mean, unless you were like in the military or something. I really want to like get, this sounds silly, but I always want like more Latin American viewers because I can speak some Spanish and I think it's really fun to reply to them in the comments in Spanish. But then I realize that the comments are probably being auto-translated for them anyway. And so then they don't realize that I'm actually responding to them in Spanish. That they probably see all my responses translated into Spanish, just like I see all of their stuff translated into English. So, but I still think it's fun. Porque estudia en México, en Guanajuato, San Miguel de Allende. Hace 20 años, más o menos. Had to see an old tenant in an apartment get put once, not pleased. Yeah. Yeah, see, that's the thing with me. Like, both my parents worked in the medical field. They were paramedics. And then my mom went into nursing and was a nurse for the last, like, 30, 40 years of her life. And, you know, as they got older and started to get, you know, sick and need care, and we had family members that, you know, had things happen or whatever, I was always helping out and caring for them and stuff. And they would always compliment, how well I did taking care of them and that I should get into the medical field and look at nursing or EMT or something else. But I'm just like, I don't know, man. I just don't think I can emotionally take it. Cause like I'm a fairly emotional dude in some respects. Like, you know, like I'm strong. I've been through a lot of trials and tribulations in my life. So I've had to, you know, fight my demons and conquer my demons and stuff. So I'm pretty strong, but I'm very emotional when it comes to certain things. And like, I couldn't deal with like dead kids. I couldn't deal with like tragedy every day. Like the stories my mom would tell me would break my heart from the hospital. And I don't know how she had the capacity for that. I really, really don't. Drop some psychedelics for the next song. Yes, it's going to be one of those. Sweet. like Smoking Gun. I have to change my translator app. Sometimes I don't know a word for idioms. And sometimes you can't find a translation, only a strange one. Yeah, that happens a lot with those. I've noticed too, like when I was learning Spanish and as I've learned other languages and stuff, because I've always had kind of a passion, a side passion a little bit for languages ever since studying in Mexico. You know, I learned a little bit of Korean, a very small bit of German, a little bit of Japanese. Like I can count in like probably 10 or 15 different languages. But actually thinking in that language is the tough part. That's always kind of the hurdle for me of when I feel like you've learned a language, when you can actually like think and process your own information in your brain in that language. And like for me, I only got that way with Spanish after like a couple weeks of living in Mexico. When I was talking Spanish every day, all day, and pretty much only Spanish, then I started, you know, thinking in Spanish, dreaming in Spanish, stuff like that. And so I just don't know how I get there with other languages without actually going and traveling to those places. and I wouldn't really feel comfortable speaking it much until then, but know a little bit of Korean. Enough to say like hello and goodbye and count and stuff like that. And some Japanese, some Russian, some German. It's fun stuff. All right. Another one of the magical 7 that they dropped so far. I think this is number 5. No, number 6. Yeah, because we only have one after this. So far, they've been a friggin' journey, man. Invoked all sorts of different emotions and stuff. I have no idea where we're going, but it is Lunatic Lullaby, the visualizer. Let's see. Interesting. So it's supposed to be embiotic fluid. I was thinking this was like inside of an iris or something. I wasn't catching the embiotic fluid, but with those baby hands, I get that. Guitar riff to start out sounds sick. So, like, for me thus far, I feel like the guitar was supposed to be kind of symbolizing like what the baby's going through in their brain and stuff, right? Like their thought process and like the neurons starting to fire and stuff like that. I don't know if anybody's heard the explanation for this yet or not, but that what it feels like to me. And then they're about to be born. Hoping.
I remember swinging like a pendulum by my umbilical cord. The surgeon held me up proudly like a prized fish, and all I could think was put me back. Put me back. To be violently ejected from the safety of the womb into this Tartarian nightmare felt cruel. I looked up at my mother, once my home, and now the orchestrator of my exile, and I felt deserted. I feel this feeling again, with everyone that I'd ever loved. I remember summoning a burst of air from my diaphragm, and it ripped through the tightly strung fibers of my vocal cords, and I made a terribly repugnant sound. A giant ugly gloved hand hoisted my tiny writhing body onto a sterilized surface and began hacking at my umbilical cord with a stainless steel scalpel. Who were these barbarians that would sever me from my one avenue of nourishment? I was past.
I mean, you know, when you put it like that, it really kind of, it sounds horrible, right? From the perspective of the baby. They're, yeah.
Stainless steel scalpel. Who were these barbarians that would sever me from my one avenue of nourishment? I was passed back to my mother, and she looked down at me, and she smiled. How can you smile at a time like this? What is this world? I quickly realized that I did not belong here. The one thing that brought solace, that brought peace, was the rhythmic beat emanating from my mother's heart monitor. I remember it clearly now. It beat like a metronome. Steady. Rhythmically. And all of a sudden, I could hear music. Yeah, I could hear music. And in that music, I could hear the heartbeat of the universe. Primal, connected, formless yet with form. Empty spaces filled with bursts of matter. And I was enamored. I was in awe. I was at the altar of gods. I knew I had to pursue this feeling every day, or I would surely die.
Well, that was interesting. It was almost like a spoken word poem on top of a crazy like guitar instrumental. Man, that was certainly something. I see why they said take the shrooms before this one. I don't know. Does any, like, does it exist where there's people that actually do remember their birth and stuff like that? I know from psychology, I think most memories start around 3 to 5 is when memory starts forming. But are there anomalies where people do remember their actual birth and their thought processes of like this stuff? I don't know, because that would just seem so like wicked to me, because it would be so scary and confusing. I think that's why, you know, biologically God designed us this way, you know? Huh. Interesting. Yeah. I don't really know what else to say on that one. That one's definitely kind of a unique one. I guess I'll do my outro. Well, that was interesting, man. I mean, talking about the birth of a person and the kind of juxtaposition of what that means to be living in utero versus living out in the world. And maybe the thought processes we would have if we could actually remember those experiences. I don't know. Let's get back to work, guys. Keep praying. See you in the next one. The way they explain recording this, it sounded like Ren just said it off the dome. Oh, okay. Something someone said last night is that they believe the first few months after we were born, we only see in black and white. No idea if that's true. Yeah, I mean, I could see... I'd have to really remember back to my, like, neuroscience and development courses and stuff. I might have a book I could look at. But I feel like there might be some truth to that. I don't know if we develop the, like, neuron pathways for color recognition and stuff yet. The whole idea of seeing in color versus seeing in black and white and all that, that's all a whole nother mind F that we could get into. I mean, I'm partially colorblind, so like I'm not like fully, I can still see the color, I'm just deficient in red and green. And so like red and green don't pop for me very much. That's part of the reasons, like I have perfect vision, but I like wearing glasses that have like color amplifying stuff. So like these are Oakley gaming glasses with prism lenses, and the prism lenses actually bring out, they tone down the blues, and when blue is toned down, I can see red and green clearer. And so I have sunglasses that do the same thing and everything else, and I like them. But it's very interesting perspective on the world, because even talking with my son, my son and wife have this fun game of anytime they get something that is like a bright pink or a dark green or a dark red or something like that, they like to bring it to me and go, "What color is this?" Because I'll see a bright pink as white, I'll see a dark red as brown, I'll see a dark green as brown, and stuff like that. And then they love to cry, "No, this is pink," or "No, this is dark green," or whatever else. And yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. The whole idea of color and perception and everything else. I've talked about that in videos before. If you read Descartes' Meditations, which is a philosophy book, but he goes very deep into the idea of what is our actual perception, since, you know, and especially now with science, since we know everything is matter, and matter as like a construct isn't solid. Like there's space in everything. Everything is floating in space, basically. This idea that the table is hard is a construct of our matter not being too dense to pass through this matter, you know? I mean, if y'all want to have, like, you know, a joint talk at whatever it is now, 7 a.m, we can do that. But that, you know, that's that kind of stuff. See, my brother claimed to remember being a baby when he was a kid. Yeah, I don't know. My son, I've asked him, he doesn't remember. He doesn't even remember like past like a year or two ago. My mom was surprised that I remember Mount St. Helens blowing up when I was about 18 months old. Oh, so you must be from the Northwest. Spindledifia. You must be from the Northwest. Because, yeah, my parents' old property, man, we have pictures of their cars and everything covered in ash from Mount St. Helens erupting. Wild stuff that's happened. Our vision is upside down too, then the brain flops it to make sense. Oh yeah, I think I remember reading that before too. 18 months is crazy. I remember being trapped under my duvet when I was 2 or 3. Yeah, I still remember back to being pretty young. But to be fair, a lot of really traumatic stuff happened in my youth. I mean, not necessarily like traumatic bad to me. I mean, some of that happened too, right? We've all had our traumas and stuff, but like I had all 4 of my grandparents die in the same year when I was going from 4 to 5 years old. And that also meant we traveled a bunch. So I remember being on the East Coast. I remember seeing the Statue of Liberty. The Liberty Bell in Pennsylvania. I remember seeing all that stuff, and I was, 4 at the time. And I remember seeing my grandpa in the hospital before he died on my mom's side. I remember playing with my grandpa on my side several times before he died, and he died when I was between 4 and 5. So those memories are probably from 3 or 4. So, remember some of that stuff. It's kind of interesting though, because like the Statue of Liberty wasn't necessarily traumatic, or the Liberty Bell. I think I remember it just because it was so impressive to me as a child. That's why I've been talking with the wife about taking the kiddo to see some of that stuff. Like we were thinking of road tripping to go see Mount Rushmore or stuff like that, because I think that stuff will imprint on him in a good way. Hopefully. I only ever remember back so far as being 3. Trauma sticks more. Yeah, that sure does. Oh my gosh, Kate Mo. Yeah, that's not good. And your brother ate it too? Oh, yeah, that's some bad hormonal stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, from what I remember from my, neurochemistry and I can't remember the name of the classes, but the neuropsychology classes basically that I took, is that the formation of memory for most people starts, the development age for that is between 3 and 5. So I'm really interested if there's anybody that actually isn't like tricking themselves, but because of some neurological condition or whatever, can actually remember being born or being, an infant. Because I'm sure it occurs, right? I mean, there's so many neurological disorders that make people have so many weird and different abilities. So I imagine there's got to be somebody who was born with the synapses to retain that stuff right out the womb. Maybe somebody with like an ultra memory, like somebody that has high retention, like what you would call a what's the word for that? I'm slipping here. A photographic memory, because those things are actually like neurologically documented. There's people that have like ultra hypersensitive memory that can remember, every word on a newspaper article that they read 30 years ago. There's people that's brains catalog all that stuff, and it's not healthy. It's not good for your brain, because the way your brain processes and puts away information is important to you being able to cognitively function normally. If you remembered every little detail of every little thing, you would run out of room to store memories and stuff, and you would go insane. So it's not good. Our brain deletes stuff for a reason. Yeah, we were in the hospital because of it. Yeah, I would bet, Kate. I would bet. Ooh, your brother's hair was falling out 3? Yeah. Yeah, I also remember when I was like 5 or 6 years old, one of my dad's friends giving me a dip. I'm from the country, okay, guys? And so when I was young, one of my dad's friends was out at the house helping him work on stuff, and I was helping them work, being a little helper, handing them tools and stuff. And he gave me a dip. My dad was pissed for obvious reasons. All right, guys. Last one from the album. I don't even know. How long have we... Wow, we've been live for 2.5 hours. Last one from the albums. We've been yapping a lot in between them, so it's fine. I wish memory worked better. Oh. Saza, that's horrible. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel the same way about my mom. But time is fleeting, you know. This limited ride in this lifetime. And our brains are only designed to retain so much of that information. Oh, thank you, Saz. I appreciate it. Whew. All right, we're on to the last one, guys. Title song for the album, Asylum. Starting with a picture of a kid. Hopefully nothing bad happens to him. I'm at my limit for depressing children stuff with that medical trials song and everything. But we got Impatient, Ren and Webby, Asylum, the lyric video. Let's see how it goes. Right off the rip, sounding like a little bit of country. I don't think I've ever heard Ren do a more like country leaning song. At least not what I've seen and reacted to him so far. And for you guys that don't know, all my reactions are first time watches. If they're not for some reason, or if I've seen some of the song, I'll say it. But it's all first time, first listen, all of that type of thing. I don't think it's anything special or anything. I don't have a problem if a reactor wants to like compile his thoughts before doing a reaction or something. It's just me personally, whatever emotions I'm feeling or anything like that, I can't reenact that. I feel like a phony when I fake emotions. Too much psychology studying, I guess, but I just prefer to do it live, first take, so that I can feel genuine. But yeah, it gives a little country twang at the beginning. Should be interesting. Let's see.
The preacher sins on Sunday morning. The sheriff steps outside the law. The teachers don't know much at all, and it's all the same. Empires rise and empires fall.
Ain't that the fucking truth, man? Whew. Ain't that the truth? Golly, the more you understand history, the more you understand the present. It's crazy. I'm loving this song so far. I'm stopping it a lot in the beginning because I have a feeling I'm going to get locked in at some point and just play out the rest of the song. So, but this is, my favorite styles of music, like acoustic alternative, country, Jack Johnson, light rock, acoustic rock, all that type of stuff. This is folky music. This is giving that vibe. I'm loving it.
It's all the same. Empires rise and empires fall. As we wander through the darkness, we'll die upon this hill, and the only pill to swallow is the one that made you ill. In this virtual reality, it's hard to see what's real. There's something left worth saving, I'm holding on to still. The doctor is your local dealer. Banker cuts himself a check. The politician you believe in is never around, just empty promises and death.
Amen.
As we wander through the darkness, we'll die upon this hill, and the only pill to swallow is the one that made you ill. In this virtual reality. It's hard to see what's real. There's something left worth saving that hasn't yet been killed. Where do we go when bound by the chains? When the tide gets low, I wait for the wave.
I love like the build up here too of the song. Like it's this low acoustic and then he brings in kind of the string instruments and stuff on the chorus. I love that. Makes me think of almost like a gospel or worship
Is the one that
Really
made
good.
you ill in this virtual reality. It's hard to see what's real. There's something left worth saving that hasn't yet been killed. Where do we go when bound by the chains? When the tide gets low, I wait for the wave. Still I learn to let go with hope for change. When the world is an asylum, how do you stay safe? Yeah, the times change, but it's still the same thing, played out on a constant loop. Has
Man, I just want to take a sec to ruminate on this thought, huh? When the world's an asylum, how do you stay sane? Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, the times change, but it's still the same thing, played out on a constant loop. As the wars wage on the centerfold stage, and the storyline's nothing new. While we draw lines in the sand decided by the chosen few, just for something to believe in, anything will do. And we throw spears over counterfeit fears while the kings and queens all watch. Brothers shed tears, but it falls on deaf ears in a land that God forgot. Still we thread hard through the hangman's rope and lose sight of what was lost. Offer something to believe in, but was it worth the cost? As we wander through the darkness, we'll die upon this hill, and the only pill to swallow is the one that makes us ill. In this virtual reality, it's hard to see what's real. There's something left worth saving that hasn't yet been killed. Where do we go when bound by the chains? When the tide gets low, I wait for the wave.
I really like that lyric there, man. That really speaks to me a lot. Just, I don't know how many tattoos I want to show today, but I have, oh, yeah, I can't get it up there. I'm wearing shorts. It's not boxers, okay? But I have a tattoo on my ankle of Job 42:10, which is towards the end of the book of Job. If you don't know much about the Bible, at the end of the book of Job, Job is a man that has been blessed and protected by God his whole life. And then the devil comes and pretty much destroys everything, kills his family, kills his crops, knocks down his house, everything, takes everything away to see if he will still praise and glorify God. And he does. And the end of the verse, what's on my leg, is, and the Lord redeemed all of Job's losses when he prayed for his friends. Indeed, the Lord gave him twice as much as he had before. A lot of novice readers of the Bible and stuff will interpret that as like, oh, anytime you lose something or you get something taken away, that, you know, God will deliver it to you twofold, threefold, tenfold, whatever. You know, I'm sure we've all been part of a evangelical church or seen one on TV that teaches like prosperity gospel bullshit about like, oh, give us $100 and God will give you 1,000 and shit like that. That's not what he's saying. What God is saying is, in order to get to the most beautiful things in life, you have to go through the worst catastrophes, which in retrospect, pretty fucked up. I got that tattooed on me because my life's been very emblematic of it. But at 18 years old, I thought at that point my life had been fairly emblematic of it at that point, and that's why I got that tattooed. But it's only continued on for the second 18 years. But that's what this makes me think of. When the tide gets low, I'll wait for the waves. That's basically that period where you've gone through. Sorry, just getting choked up talking about it. But that period where you've gone through trials, tribulations, everything else, or that period where you don't feel like life is worth living or that there's a point to continue forward. That's when you should look for those waves. That's when you should look for that struggle as a blessing and what you can learn from it and what you can grow from it and how you can become, you know, a better person, better human, however you want to phrase it, better Christian, better, you know, whatever. So yeah, man, beautiful, beautiful lyric there.
Still I know to let go with hope for change. When the world is an asylum, how do you stay sane? Mother reaches for the needle. A baby's lost before it wakes. Without guidance for the people, it's all the same. Walls are built, walls will break.
Man, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. See, it's stuff like this, though, man. People always tell me that Ren is agnostic and stuff, even though he does biblical references and stuff nonstop. But without guidance for the people, it's all the same. Walls will build and walls will break. I mean, it might just be my ears, but that sounds like a call to me for the people to find God, right? We aren't able to handle this life without the guidance, without our spiritual father, mother, whatever you want to consider it, helping us along the way. And that's something I deeply believe in. Seems like it's some Ren and Webby agree on. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting some of the conversations I've had about religion and stuff with people through Ren's music, because there's been a lot of atheists in the crowd and a lot of people that I don't want to say this in a way that anybody finds offensive, but a lot of people that proselytize him, I feel like. And I don't know him from Adam, right? Never talked to him, but I don't think he views himself in that way or wants to be viewed in that way. but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, Chris sounded amazing there, didn't he? I really liked Chris's verse. What a beautiful song, man. Wow. They left some really good stuff for the end, you know? I was kind of worried. I mean, Ren doesn't strike me as this kind of artist, right? But having worked in music and stuff and dealt with artists creating albums and stuff, a lot of artists will make their album for 2 or 3 songs to be popular, and then the rest of it is just kind of like filler crap. And so there was part of me that was worried that you know, these 7 songs would be mostly like filler crap. Like, they would be good musically, right? Ren's a great musician, great singer, he's a great rapper, but they wouldn't be as impactful. And like, I don't know about y'all, but if y'all been here for the 2 hours with me, I feel like I went on a fucking journey. You know what I mean? I felt joy, been on the brink of tears, felt like spiritual and religious. Like, I feel like these are solid, like, standalone songs that, you know, are good, like, transformative experiences each on their own. Not a bunch of filler crap. So very, very interesting. He says he's agnostic, but he believes there's some form of God. My guess is he mistrusts the current bastardization of modern religion, where religion is used for agenda pushing. I mean, I can relate to that a lot, right? I think anybody that reads the scriptures, especially in Christianity, can agree with that, because there's so much of what modern churches push that goes against the teachings of Christ in a lot of ways. I think he believes there's a God, maybe, but isn't sure which religion is right one. Yeah. I think he wants to be... No, I don't think Ren wants to be on that kind of pedestal. Yeah. Yeah, see, I don't think so either. That's the same sense I get. But there are definitely a lot of people that put him on that pedestal. Just like, if you haven't experienced it, I've experienced it as a reactor, and the way some of the people respond to his word is like, if I disagree with him or if I come up with a different interpretation, it's almost like I'm, you know, misquoting the Bible to them or something. But damn, your phone died just as Webby came in. Oh, I'm sorry. This will be up though, and I'll chop it up for the individual videos. The big assumption to make of Ren and Webby. Ren has said many times that he's agnostic, but he likes the stories. Well, I don't know what assumption I necessarily gave there. I was just saying that I feel like he definitely believes in a God. I don't know if he believes in fully the Christian version of God, but he seems to have an inkling towards that. He doesn't regularly quote Islamic scriptures or Hindu scriptures or anything else. He mostly quotes, you know, what we would call like Judeo-Christian scriptures. So, Bad Wolf, renegades are a bit obsessive. No, yeah. I mean, dude, I love the renegade community as a whole. A lot of really cool, beautiful people, interesting people, people I would have never talked to, people that are, you know, in completely different walks of life as me, from different countries, everything else. It's been a very cool experience getting to know and meet and talk to some of you guys. The fascination for me is, I guess, just the weird offshoots that come out of it, which, I mean, I guess You know, we see the same thing in anything that's popular and spiritual, right? You have, I mean, Christianity has been broken up into 400,000 different sects. That's why it's kind of funny whenever people make these sweeping assumptions about Christianity to me, and they're speaking of something that happened to them in Catholic school or whatever else. And it's like, you realize how diverse the opinion structure is in Christianity. Like there's like a million different denominations and sub-denominations and everything else of Christianity. And I don't think that's an accident. I mean, the life and gospel of Jesus, if you're an atheist, just bear with me for a sec, okay? But the life and gospel of Jesus is one of the most like provable gospels of any of the gospels that we have, maybe other than ones that are written by modern people writing documents for cults or whatever else. But like tons of stuff, thousands and thousands and thousands of elements from both the Old Testament and New Testament have been found, verified. The scripture's been changed very little. A lot of people talk about, oh, the scripture was altered or translated differently or stuff like that. There's a small truth to that, and that's part of the reason for denomination shifts, but it's much less of a truth than you think. It's not like a book was rewritten, right? They found like the Dead Sea Scrolls, which is like 1,500 years old, and it matches our current understanding of the theology by like 99.8%. The changes happen because when you translate language, words mean different things and things mean different things. For instance, a great sermon I heard one time like 20 years ago was on the Song of Solomon. And the Song of Solomon, if you don't know, is Bible's book on love and sex. It's Solomon and his wife doting over each other, falling in love, embracing each other's bodies, and basically is supposed to be the biblical analogy for what a perfect husband and wife couple are supposed to be, what true love is. Solomon went on to write many books and Psalms and stuff like that. If many of you guys have been to a wedding where they do the whole love is patient, love is kind, love is strong, whatever from Psalms, Solomon wrote that stuff. So this is like the big lover boy of the Bible and his wife and them writing about. So if you read the scripture in English, love is said nonstop. I love this. I love that. I love this about her. I love this about her. I love this. I love that she does this. I love that she loves that. Well, if you take it back to the old translations in like Hebrew and stuff like that, they actually had 4 different words that when translated to English, translated to love. But in English, we only have the word love. All right. They have different words. I might misremember these. This was 20 years ago I watched this sermon, but I believe it was Raya, Ahava, Dode. Can't remember the 4th. But these all are different words in I don't even remember if it's Hebrew or Aramaic, but in one of the old languages that mean different things. So it means like, one means like the love of like a brother and sister. One means like a sexual or lustful love. Another one means love of like a parent or something like that. So it's words that mean different versions of love, but in English, we just call all that love. We say, I love my wife and I love my father. You would use different words for that in Hebrew. So yes, there is changing of the scriptures in that sense, but that is the sense in which they're changed. And if you understand the theology behind the scriptures, which I talk a lot about in video, that I'm a nerd on this shit, and I think you guys are realizing right now that that's accurate. But if you understand that stuff, well then, hey, you can understand what the scripture is trying to say versus what the translation is. But it's not that anything really got changed. So Have to go now. Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely, Kate Mo. Thanks for being here. Thank you again for the tip. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate the support. And thank you for hanging out with me the whole time. I live in an Orthodox Christian country, and there's a huge controversy about the government here, letting Roman Catholic Pope Francis come here. The religions hate each other, and they're both Christian. Exactly. Like, it's crazy. If you go back and look at the comments in my Dear God video, when I did that, I went on about Christianity for like a half hour at the beginning of that reaction. And there was a lot of comments, a lot of religious discussion. And it was really cool discussion. I enjoyed it quite a bit because, to be honest, I don't talk to many people that are super like atheist or anything else. Like, I have plenty of my friends that aren't necessarily religious and stuff, or that believe in different religions. But I don't know many people that are straight up just, nope, God don't exist. You're an idiot if you think he does. So that was kind of an enjoyable experience for me to actually get to hear some of those perspectives. But, yeah, but you'll see when you go through those, a lot of the people that, at least from my perspective in this limited, isolated sample, right? I'm not making a broad stroke against everybody that has that belief set. In this limited sample of my experience, seemed like a lot of those people who are atheists were atheists because they disagreed with one particular action of the religion in their life, whether it was something the Catholic Church did when they were a kid, or, you know, their local church preach X, Y, or Z, and they completely disagreed with that. And so it's like, I almost want to like scream at these people. It's like, you understand, like, there's different churches that have very different ideas and adoptions of the faith and what it means, and you shouldn't square off having a relationship with God for your entire life because of what one sect of one denomination did to you or told you or preached to you or whatever else. I mean, I've gone to dozens of churches that I disagreed with, and I was still able to usually enjoy the time in worship, right? Because we're praising the same God, even if they have a little bit different ideas of what that God wants for their life. I went to church when I was in Mexico. I went to big old Catholic cathedrals where they weren't even speaking English, and was able to worship and feel the spirit and everything there. So, you know, like, don't judge God by your interaction with one particular sect or one particular denomination. Don't judge God by your own brain of analyzing what you think the scripture means. Judge God by the relationship that you form and have with them. He says, seek and ye shall find, knock and ye shall be answered. Just try knocking, man. Try knocking, try seeking, see what you come up with. God says in the Bible, he will present himself to every person. So, whether you're, you know, Buddhist, Hindu, whether you're in a shack in Pakistan right now and don't even have access to electricity, God says he will present himself the opportunity to get to know him to you. So everybody, all you gotta do is seek. I don't know. Not to go on a big religious rant. It's just, I don't know. This video was just had me in that mind frame and that mind state. So you know of one additional atheist now. Well, I met a lot of atheists in the Ren community, but I didn't know many in my like personal life that like people I've worked with, people I've, you know, done business with and stuff. And I'm an extremely social guy. So like, you know, when I was in the business world, I managed a region with 150 employees and 12 support staffers, hired and fired thousands of people throughout my career. When I was running my business, I had tens of thousands of customers that I interacted with, did shows where, you know, in a single day, I would interact with several hundred people. So I had a lot of conversations. I'm not Christian, but find theology fascinating and the teachings very worthwhile learning from. Yeah, absolutely. And I think everything comes down to personal relationships. Like I've said, I think, you know, you build that relationship with God. And I think there's a lot of religious people and Christians in particular that get really hung up on the, you know, Jesus says he is the one way, the truth, and the light, everything else. No one gets to the Father except through him. I believe that as much as every other Christian. What I don't believe is that Jesus will necessarily present himself as, you know, a long-haired, bushy-beard guy in a robe to, you know, someone in a slum in Pakistan or in Indonesia or in Turkey or wherever else. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily, I think it's naive and ignorant, and I'm not insulting anybody's beliefs here. Believe me, I mean, I'm a Christian, but I think it's naive and ignorant to think that we understand the perfect example of what Jesus was, and that he won't present himself in any different form to people of different lands with different cultures that get inspired by different things, if that makes sense. So, you know, I've heard a lot of pastors talk on this subject throughout the years and listened to a lot of debates and everything else on it. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are hardline, like, no, he says he is the one, the truth, and the way. It's like, well, yes, but in what packaging, right? Like, if I told you this is my Ren reaction, I could have the thumbnail be a Ren reaction, or I could have the thumbnail be a, you know, a whatever, a picture of my face. It's still the same reaction, even though the packaging is different. And that's where, I don't know, I disagree with some theologians in the Christian faith and stuff, I guess. I just gave up finding a home within organized religion. I'll never say I don't believe in God. Do need God in my life, find value. Can't understand why I don't need a God in my life. I find value in my life on my own. I can understand why people believe, but it's not something I need. I mean, I can't speak for you, so you can speak to that better. I just know that where my journey has taken me and the stuff I've discovered. And you know what? It may not have been your time yet. You may be 100% honest. I'm not going to call you a liar. You might not have needed God up to this point. Doesn't mean you never will. I wonder if an atheist is an agnostic that just hasn't decided yet and can't get there and can get on with numerous denominations. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, some of them are very, very strongly, no, all the religions are wrong. God doesn't exist. I don't see, personally, I don't see how logical humans can come to that conclusion when the world and life is so miraculous. I think miraculous things require miraculous levels of creation. I don't think all of the stuff just happened by accident over a long enough period of time. Scientifically, it's extremely unlikely. And so it's funny that a lot of people in the science world view it that way when, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, it's literally infinite, the amount of things I could list off. But like the distance we are from the sun, you know, or to make our climate perfect, and the fact that we're able to have plants that turn, you know, carbon monoxide into oxygen, and all this stuff is like 1 in billions of trillions of quadrillions chance of happening, for it all to happen at the same time on the same planet in the same, just it doesn't quash with me, but you know, it's fair. Yeah, could be some of that's just mechs. A lot of people in non-Christian countries claim to have dreamed about Jesus and becomes Christians. I find that fascinating. Yes, that is true. That is true, Saza. There's a famous one. Oh, can I remember the story? There's a really famous one. I believe it was an Asian woman, but I can't remember what she was in. If she was in like North Korea or China or something like that. But there's been several really famous ones that I know. There was a Muslim woman too that was, never had any concept of Christianity or the gospel or anything like that. And she had a dream to seek out the gospels and find Jesus to get saved. And she ended up defecting and smuggling herself out of the country, and, is still wanted dead by her family members, because in Islam, you can't leave Islam or else, they put you on the proverbial chopping block is the only way to save you. But I believe that God exists. He values someone who has lived a good life because he himself felt it was right thing to do, more than someone who only did it out of fear of punishment. Oh, I believe that too. I mean, the Bible and the Sermon on the Mount actually preach that exact thing. Altarian. And it's funny because if you want the biggest criticism of churches and Christianity and organized religion, Judaism, whatever, Abrahamic religion in general, read the Bible, right? Especially like Jesus and the New Testament, Sermon on the Mount, stuff like that. He talks nonstop about the church hypocrites and the Pharisees and everything else. All he does is bitch about them, and how wrong they're getting it in the way they're preaching it to the people. I mean, that's literally a good chunk of what Jesus did. If you read the Sermon on the Mount, everything, he's like, no, you should live your life like this, not like what these dumb hypocrites told you to do. And he's talking about like the religious leaders of the time that were of the same faith as him. So, he's as critical as any, Jesus was as critical of the church as any atheist I've ever met. So that's another thing I always kind of find interesting and fascinating, is people act like, you can't be Christian or you can't be whatever, Catholic or whatever, and question the church or question authorities. It's like, dude, Jesus did that nonstop. Like, all of his teachings were saying, you guys are getting it wrong. This is how it should be. So, but to Ultra Fan's point, that was one of the things Jesus talked about. I believe it's towards the end of the Sermon on the Mount. He's talking about, at the end of times, he'll have religious leaders come to him and tell him, did I not worship you? Did I not? Because he's casting them out of the kingdom of heaven. These religious leaders, pastors, clergymen, he's casting them out of heaven, damning them to hell. And they say to him, did we not worship you? Did we not bring praise to your name? Did we not cast out demons in your name? And he says, turn away from me, for I never knew you. Right? It's one of the scariest verses in the New Testament for Christians, because like the relieving thing about Christ's existence is supposed to be that, you're saved, right? He died for your sins and you're saved. Well, here's Jesus talking about he's going to cast away pastors to hell. Like, that is terrifying, right? But what he's talking about is exactly what you're talking about, Ultra Fan, where it's people that, didn't live a good life because they wanted to and wanted to be godlike and wanted to have a relationship with God, but they led a good life out of fear or compulsory necessity or because of their position, and they did the right things and said the right things, but they didn't actually have a good desire in their heart. Their desires were just self-fulfilling desires. On the surface, this album is about Asylum. However, the deeper level, it's about a discussion of the human condition. Absolutely, Mark. That was kind of my takeaway too. Like, I love this as like the last piece from this album that we're listening to, that we're reacting to, because it really brings a focal lens to the entire album, right? Because the whole album, they've told us these crazy stories, right? From Instigator to Neurodivergent to Down the Road. They've given us all this like good, evil struggle. And then tonight we listened to the Monster one and everything else, all these different, you know, ideologies of personalities that you could be, and then it's bringing it all together here of the asylum is really life. You know, we're all in the madhouse together trying to figure out the purpose and the point of all this. Makes me think of the line from Neurodivergent, us all being in the system, none of us come out of this life unscathed. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The viral, I mean, I understand what you're saying there about, you know, an all-caring God seeming like kind of a narcissistic ideology, but one of the biggest bases for me to even conceptualize God is to understand that it's beyond our thinking and reasoning, right? Things like narcissism and ego are worldly things. So when we start into a discussion of the spiritual realm, trying to hold worldly laws to spiritual creatures, I mean, isn't really going to line up, and where you're just going to be left with never-ending questions that don't have answers. Beautiful song. So funny, my Christian mom and I were talking about religiousness in the church and the different with the teachings of Jesus. I told her I can get behind Jesus more than God, even though they're one. I mean, Old Testament God, you know, he was kind of an angry fella. But the thing is, we only know the Old Testament God through the testimony of man. And one of the things I think that's interesting about the Old Testament is if you think about, you know, man as a species that is trying to habitate the earth and grow and prosper, and God is telling you how you do that in a organized fashion and the best way. Well, if you know what's going to lead to proper growth and existence of the species, and you know what's going to lead to extinction, I think it's a very human thing to do, to try and paint things as black and white as humanly possible. You know, that's where I always get into a conversation with Christians and stuff about things like homosexuality and whatnot, is like I have a lot of very unique takes on homosexuality just from my time in psychology and stuff. But, you know, a lot of people who are very strong, like Old Testament Bible people, will tell you, no, he says it's an abomination, it's a sin, it's this and that and the other thing. But it's also like, you know, Jesus told us to relate the Gospels to the times and stuff like that, and to think about the teachings in that order. And at that time, if you're trying to birth a nation, the last thing you would want is people moving towards fornication without procreation. Are we in that situation right now? I mean, some people could argue with the birthing rates and stuff, but globally, the birthing rates aren't a problem. It's just in the Western world that the birthing rates are really scary. But globally, we don't really have a problem with society getting smaller. It's generally getting bigger. So the plight of the human condition and humanity as a species is not under threat. So is it as dire of a circumstance that we should condemn someone over fornication that doesn't lead to procreation? I don't think so, you know, but that's those type of philosophical tweaks in different directions on why there's 800 denominations of Christianity, you know? Okay, so my favorites from the album, I think, are Neurodivergent, Down the Road, End of the World, Asylum. Yeah, I love End of the World. Yeah, I love End of the World. I love Asylum. Off of these 7, I'll say Asylum, Mason Jar, End of the World are my 3 favorites. Might even be in that order. Oh, I don't know. I'll have to re-listen to the 3 of them. I really like the beat and the flow of Mason Jar. I really like the vibe of End of the World, and I love the beautiful message of Asylum. Such a beautiful song with such an ugly name, which is kind of another metaphor for the human condition, right? Beautiful song with an ugly name. So outside of these 7, my favorite running so far had been Instigator, because I feel like that song speaks to me more than any of the others on the album had thus far. My personality, you know, I get called a lot. I get called divisive a lot from people in the Ren reactions, but I'm not trying to divide people. I'm just trying to instigate thought and share my opinion. And I feel like that's just naturally who I am, right? I'm not someone that's going to, you know, I'm sitting here reading comments from people who are atheists that directly disagree with my religion and having a conversation with them. That's who I am, right? That's who I am as a person, all right? Some people would, you know, you could go onto some channels where they're talking about their faith, and if you disagree, they're going to mute you or kick you out or whatever else. I'll sit here and argue my points with you and respect you for your opinions. And I think that's a difference. Doesn't mean I'm going to shut up, and doesn't mean I'm just going to agree and say everything is great and dandy in the world. And, you know, all of this stuff is so, you know, let it be, blah, blah, blah. Let's sing a song and dance. I'm still going to say when I think shit's wrong and when I think shit's right, you know, and that's just, I don't know. That's how I've always been, and that's how I'm going to keep being. So Mason Jar's Nuts. Yeah, it's a really good song. Ooh, yeah, I forgot about Caskets too. Down the Road was my second favorite song. Caskets, though, you know, I don't know if I've re-listened to Caskets once since doing the reaction and cutting the video. That song was painful, bro. I shed real tears that whole song. I don't think I accomplished anything the rest of that day. I mean, if the scale for how good a song is how emotionally it impacted you, Caskets would be the clear winner. 'Cause that song fucked me up, man. Like, it hit me like, it came out like right before the anniversary of my mom too. My mom's passing. That was a tough one. Man, that was a tough one. Yeah, the viral. That's how I see it too, man. The reason I'm able to speak to my thoughts and my opinions so clearly is because I'm willing to have those conversations. You know, you see a lot of these street interviews nowadays, and both sides of the political aisle use it for propaganda, right? You'll have the left-wing guy go to a Trump rally and ask them questions, and they'll have some guy that's like, I don't know, Trump rules, brother. And then, you know, you'll have the same thing. You'll have a conservative guy go to some Antifa riot or something, and they'll be like, oh, you know, how can you like Palestine when you're queer? They would throw you off a building. And they're like, nah, Muslims love the gays. And like, you know, both these people sound like idiots because they've put themselves in the situations where they never actually had to question their opinions. The reason I'm able to speak to so much of this stuff so quickly off the dome and cite so much of this stuff, I've had a lot of these conversations and I've been like, huh, that's interesting. I'm going to look into that. I'm going to read up on that. And then I remember it, and then I can, you know, recite it here in conversation when somebody brings up that type of point. And that's how I get, you know, opinions and beliefs that work for me. They've been battle tested, you know, throughout years and years of conversations and talking. I second guessed myself when I list favorites. Yeah, I just did the same thing. We all shed some tears with that one. Yeah. Whoo, Caskets was rough, man. I'm like getting a little teary-eyed just even thinking about that song again. That's messed up. I didn't know Ren had said that, so it plays different if you don't watch the video. I should try that. I should try listening to it without the video. We need more conversations. I feel like people are sick of the arguments and are more drawn to rational conversations again. I hope so too. I hope so too. Yeah, I mean, dude, like that's honestly what I'm trying to do on my channel. A lot of people that disagree with me tend to think that that's not what I want to do on my channel, but that is what I want to do on my channel. Like I want to have conversations and I want to put out stuff. If I put out something that's slanted towards one side or another in an opinion, not because I'm trying to convince you that my opinion is right or that the way I'm viewing it is right. I'm trying to just put my opinion out there so it can be challenged, right? And challenging it doesn't mean hurling a bunch of obscenities and insults about said politician or party or belief structure in the comments. Challenging means coming back with some type of logical facts or reasoning as to why something I stated was wrong or why a thought process I have is wrong. And I'm that's what I'd like to hear. That's what I'd always like to hear. Maybe live chat's a better way to do that. I don't know. But you know, I like having my opinions tested, and I think we're going into a very important period, especially in America, potentially the rest of the world. I don't pretend to speak for all of Europe or anything. Never been there. Don't know what's going on there, aside from my friend that I have in Germany and a few other countries, a friend in Spain and some other places. I don't really know what's going on there fully, but I have a very strong pulse on what's happening in America and what's happening in our culture here. And I think we're at a very pivotal moment of change right now. And if I can play even a very small role in that change, I'm going to try and play it. And that's why I came back to content creation, you know, seeing people like Charlie Kirk get murdered and seeing, you know, people on both sides screaming and yelling at each other, calling for violence, getting all insane, showing the most, you know, horrible elements of every thought process and idea and not trying to question or really think through anything. Not what I want to see, but that seems to be the popular opinion, or was. Maybe we're passing a corner as a society and as a civilization. I hope so. I'd like to get it back to a point where I can sit down with somebody that has completely opposite political opinions as me at a bar, and we can, you know, go through 10 beers, shooting the shit, arguing over stuff, calling each other idiots, and nobody is trying to, you know, kill anyone. Like, that's literally how it feels nowadays, and it didn't used to be like that. Like, I'm from Portland, Oregon. I've talked religion and politics my whole life. In the corporate world, I know all the religions and political affiliations of anyone I've ever worked for, all my former employees, most of my customers at my stores and at my businesses. So I talk about that stuff. It was never like, you know, yeah, it's kind of, you know, inappropriate or whatever to talk about it. But, you know, if you do it in the right way, it's never been a big issue. And used to have those conversations, no problem. But now, I mean, golly, you know, you agree with anything the president does and you're immediately a Nazi, pedo lover, blah, blah, blah. You disagree with anything the president does and you're a crazy, fanatical, libtard Antifa. And it's like, both of those people do exist. Like, those are very real things in our society. I live in Portland, Oregon. There is crazy liberals in Portland. There's Antifa right now at our ICE facility. I could take this camera off and drive down there and show you guys. They're down there breaking windows, causing a ruckus. They've been there for almost 2 years now. So these things aren't fake or made up, but they're not your average person, okay? Your average person isn't getting that. It's like 50 people in a city of 10 million. Like, can we stop generalizing 5 million people off of what these 50 are doing? On both sides. It is horrible on both sides. And I mean, I get pushback from both sides for saying it like that. But I do think the left has much bigger of a problem with violence right now than the right does. And I think the right has a much bigger problem with authoritarian ideology rising, because I see that becoming very popular, especially in the more young conservative movements, where, like, all right, we've tried democracy and, like, you can't be democratic with some people. We need some type of authoritarian democracy, seems to be what they're pushing towards. And, you know, I don't agree with either of those. So I'm like 45 minutes behind and I'm listening to Asylum. I joked a couple of times when people said Red can do anything. I joked that he hasn't done country yet. Now Asylum sounds like it does. I thought it was a country song. I would probably classify it more as folk after listening to it. I think that's fair, but you can't listen to Caskets anymore. Yeah, I haven't listened to it since I edited the video. I was crying the whole time I was editing the video too. I haven't had to prove people wrong. LOL. I could do that too. Yeah. It's getting scary in Britain and Europe. Our free speech is so limited. Yeah, Saza. And that's like one of the core issues to me is, like, we can disagree as long as free speech exists. Once you start limiting speech, you can no longer disagree. And I think what I've seen coming out of Europe is scary to me. I have people in the comments say, no, they're just, you know, they're not allowing people to incite violence or be racist. But I don't know. I hear other things from a lot of people. So I don't know. I can't speak firsthand to what's really going on there, but seeing America from the outside the last year is worrying very much so. To be honest, the viral, I don't know where you're located, but America is in a much better position now than it was a couple years ago. And you can love or hate Trump. Whatever your opinion of Trump is, America 4 years ago was terrifying. Like 2022, 2023, we literally were having riots in the streets on a daily basis. A lot of the news wasn't covering it. I ran a region of stores up in Seattle. I had from Federal Way down to Tacoma, for anybody that knows Washington. You know, I had like 13 stores. They were getting vandalized on the daily basis, windows busted out, people robbing them, cars driving into them. It was a fucking madhouse. And 90% of it stopped when Trump took office. But it's funny because now Trump is in office, 90% of the insanity has stopped, but the media started covering the insanity now with things like the ICE protests and other stuff like that. So now it seems like America is crazier than it was before, but it's actually much more peaceful. Like, I mean, 2023, 2024, 2022, 2021, you didn't want to go to any major cities. Like, they were all closed up. They were boarded up. The only ones going downtown were to riot. It was damn near like borderline the purge in many of the major cities. It was fucking scary, man. And you'd go into gun shops and they were sold out of everything. Literally. I mean, I had one friend bought 32 AR lowers in Washington. during that time frame. He went and, because people would just go and clean out the gun store. So like the gun store called him, we got AR lowers in. He went and bought every single one of them, 32 of them. People are buying everything out because it felt like we were headed to a civil war. It doesn't feel like that now. The media will have you think, oh, there's all these ICE. Like, dude, I go down to the ICE facility. It's like 50 people there. Okay. 4 years ago, there was 5,000 people riding in the streets of Portland. I'd much take the 50 crazy Antifas wearing dragon outfits, throwing rocks and shit, than the 50 people busting out businesses, causing billions of dollars in damages. So I would worry much less about America now. I'm more and more worried about Europe personally, especially I got, a friend on a military base in Germany, someone that's someone I care very deeply about, got a family, everything else. So I worry about and pray for Europe and Germany, for his sake, if nothing else, because I love him and his family and don't want to see any harm come to them. And he actually really likes Germany and is probably going to stay there when he retires. He's trying to buy a house and stuff right now in Germany. So the extremists seem to be the most loud. Yeah, they definitely are, which distorts a lot. It does. Hey, from the UK. Hey, Stuart. Good morning or good evening, whatever it is over there. I don't know. Mr. W Games. Hey, what's up, man? Longtime supporter. Appreciate it. Yeah, they're making racism a thing in the UK. Yeah. I find those that shout the loudest often have the least to say. That's true. I'm from Germany. I just see what your government does, especially your foreign relations. Trump's wars, betrayal of allies, so on. Happy to hear that my country made a positive impact on your friend. Yeah, he loves Germany. And when I ask him about the crazy stuff going on over there that I see in the media, he says he's out in the country. He doesn't have to deal with any of it, though. But he says it's beautiful. He relates it to back where we are. He says the whole country's like that, but, a lot more open area and stuff like that. He loves Germany. Very big fan. Which I would think a country that's been around as long as Germany would be kind of like overpopulated, not be open. But the U.S. has this weird thing, we could grow really big in the U.S., way bigger than we are now. There is a ton of open land. In fact, I should try and find a tweet I saw about this that showed like the open areas of the U.S. versus the populated areas. We could easily probably at least like 5x our population and be comfortable with how much land there is. The problem is because of developer and corporate greed and the greed of not to insult anyone that's from this, but the greed of the boomer generation, they don't want to build more houses and cities and expand and stuff. Like you have tons of area in America that is gorgeous, beautiful land that's just sitting there empty, with one farm over 10,000 acres of it. And like some of that agricultural, stuff is needed, but like there's plenty, like they could easily take a couple hundred acres and build a new town. You know what I mean? And be able to accommodate more residents and more people living here and everything else. They just simply don't want to do it because it's supply and demand. You add a bunch more real estate, what happens to the prices of the homes? They go down. The entirety of the boomer generation's retirement is basically bedded on U.S. equity. And so if all the real estate goes down, all their retirements, their 401ks all collapse, and now their retirement's gone and, they don't get to spend 50 years working as a mechanic and retire as a millionaire like they were promised and told their whole life. And that's basically the issue we're running into right now in America. I saw a survey that said only 10% of people in the UK would have voted for Trump. I don't know. I get a lot of I get a lot of supportive people on the channel from the UK and Scotland. So I don't know. That aren't happy with what's going on in their country. I get plenty that don't get me wrong. It's much less. I feel like the American support for Trump. Here's another thing I think a lot of people in Europe got to understand is that most of the media in the US is left leaning, if not far left, with the exception of maybe Fox News. But Fox News is like a certain type of right leaning. I don't really like Fox News. They're kind of like the 90s Republican, the warmonger, ultra capitalist, exploitative type of right leaning, not like the right that's really supporting Trump. I feel like a lot of the world says that that's who's supporting Trump, but most of the people supporting Trump are people that just want our society to not be insane anymore, to not be, chopping off kids' genitals and things like that. Pretty reasonable things. So that's a lot of Trump support in the US. And so we don't really have a news agency that's giving a voice to those people. It's either these far left Marxist commie stations, your MSNBC, CNN, stuff like that, that straight up just lie. Like if you're over there in Europe and you think you're watching a CNN story and you're getting the real story, you're not. They just literally lie. They will cut up interviews. One of them been caught using like AI to make Trump's mouth say something different than what he said. I mean, they are just straight up lying. But if you look at the polling and you see Trump's poll numbers and his support numbers in the US are really high, I think that's fair. I think most of the moderate Democrats that didn't vote for him, that were worried he was going to end the world and this, that, and the other thing, most of them after his first term realized that that's all bullshit. And he's not, he's not going to genocide all of the gay people on day one. Like CNN or something would tell you. Most people are just like, not my cup of tea, but he's all right. He's doing a good job. Gas is a little bit cheaper. That's nice. Like that's how most people are. So, it's funny because I talked to some of the people in the UK and they're more passionate about our politics than 90% of the people I talk to in fucking America. So it's kind of funny. Germany has its problems, especially the right that's on the rise. They gotta get their shit together. I've just joined myself, so I don't know which song Steven's on. I finished all of them, Stuart. We're done. We're just yapping. I'm sorry. But the VOD will be up here in a little bit. I'm also going to chop them up into individual videos and release them over the next 7 days for those people that want to watch like song by song. I did intros and outros and everything on each of them as we were doing them. I loved all the new releases apart from Mason Jar. Oh, Stuart, you got to watch my reaction to Mason Jar then. I think you'll appreciate it after what I explain about it. Maybe not, but that's one of my 3 favorite from this album now. I loved Mason Jar. I wish we had a Trump. He really cares about making his country strong. Yeah, I mean, I go back and forth on Trump, right? Like, I have a hard time truly believing anything a politician says. If Trump is who he says he is, then that's beautiful. Like, honestly, I don't care about anything in a leader of the U.S. except they want the best for this country and the people of this country, and they have the aptitude and ability to accomplish some of that. That's all I really care about. But golly, in the big 2026, that's hard to find in a politician. The majority of the politicians in America are in the job, at least at that high of a level, because they want to enrich themselves and their friends and push some kind of ideologic agenda, either via religion or, quasi-religion like LGBT, Marxism, leftism, stuff like that. It's not, it's not great. Unfortunately, the way money has been into our politics and the corrupting nature of allowing endless streams of funds with things like Citizens United that passed like 20 years ago that allowed these super PACs to gain unlimited funds from corporations to influence political parties and political leaderships. I mean, it was corrupt long before that, but Citizens United was like, you know, giving a heroin addict that's in rehab a fucking gallon zip of blues, you know? Like, it was the worst possible thing we could have done for the country's politics at the time, but that's what they did. And ever since then, now it's hard to find any honest person in politics. I mean, even beyond the kind of cliche notion of that, it's hard because everybody can get bought off. And you might say you can't get bought off, but everybody's kind of got a price at a certain extent. And if you don't got a price, then they can slander you and try and put dirt on you and everything else. And you look at like what they've done to Trump. I mean, it's kind of insane what they've done to him and the stuff they've gone after him for. If you actually look into those court cases, they are ridiculous from any free-loving person out there. It's stuff that if you or your friend were charged with or prosecuted with, you would be outraged. So we seem to have Russian ships in British waters all the time lately. Really? That's weird. It's a problem that all news are propaganda for their beloved sides. Yeah, it really is, man. That's why I love the independent journalists, man. And it's sad because I'm starting to see some of my favorite independent journalists kind of get bought off in different directions too, because the mainstream media has finally realized that these guys actually have a voice and a power. And now you're starting to see, like, one example that comes to mind is I've always been a big fan of Andrew Callahan, who does All Gas, No Breaks. And like the last year or two, man, everything he's put out has been so like far left. Like he's on a big Palestine series right now, and he did the Hunter Biden interviews, and he's sitting there calling Trump a Nazi and ICE agents, Gestapo, and everything else. And it's like, dude, he didn't used to do that shit. I don't know if he got paid off or it's just the Hollywood brain rot or what, but you can't do that. You can't sit there and call ICE agents, a legitimate law enforcement agency, Gestapo, and then claim to be an independent journalist. Like, that's just, I'm sorry. You're just lying to yourself at that point. BBC in the UK cut the Trump Jan 6 speech. Trump is suing them, I believe, and he's absolutely right to do so. Yeah, no, that did happen. The BBC in the UK edited his speech to make it sound like he was calling them. It's funny because I've actually had this conversation in the comments with people in England that still to this day believe that's what he said. I've literally had them in my comments be, how can you support a leader that called for an insurrection? And I'm like, Trump never called for insurrection. What are you talking about? I've literally watched him on video telling people to go and storm the Capitol on January 6th. Oh boy. Oh boy. Did you now? Because watch that full speech. That's not what he says. I'm not unhappy with government we have here in the UK. I don't know if you're trying to be sarcastic or if you're not happy, but BBC in the UK comes to Trump. So yeah. Most of the media we have in the UK is right leaning. Really? I've heard the opposite, but well, I don't know about most. I've heard that the state agencies like the BBC and stuff are pretty left leaning, but I find the movements in the UK government towards total surveillance problematic. Yeah, that's scary. The cameras on every corner. They're trying to do something similar right now in the US too with a company called Flock. It's trying to do the same thing. I haven't really done any videos or talked about it, but I've read on it. BBC is government propaganda who lies. Yeah, I mean, it does kind of seem that way to me. From an outsider, I see BBC as bad as any lefty propaganda we have in the United States. So if people in the UK think that that's unbiased news, I'm sorry, we're going to have to agree to disagree there, you know? Most of the UK media is left leaning. Yeah, see, I mean, it's just everybody feels only GB News is right. Leaning in the UK, I don't understand why people think that. If they were right leaning, they wouldn't call reform extremist names and ban Rupert Lowe. Yeah, I mean, I've watched Rupert Lowe a few times now, ever since the report came out, and Rupert Lowe seems pretty based. I mean, he's not what I would call an extremist at all. If y'all want to hear some extremist stuff, okay, we can go down some rabbit holes. But if you think someone like Nick or someone like Rupert Lowe, or in the U.S. like a Nick Fuentes is extremist, like Nick Fuentes is a clip farmer, bro. You need to get onto some like Gypsy Crusader, bro. The type of people that like platforms like Kick and Rumble ban. And those guys still have audiences in the tens of thousands. And that is where you will see what extreme ideology is. Not someone like Rupert Lowe. Here in Germany, the news are more neutral, and I'm glad they are. Facts matters more than feelings. Yeah, you know, I really don't know the first thing about German media or news. Never talked to my buddy about that, so good to know. Tabloid press is very biased. They've almost become a mouthpiece for Farage. Fair enough. I always voted Labor, but when I saw Starmer pledging allegiance to Devos over Westminster, wow, you are getting way too far into European politics for me. I don't even know half those people. That's how Brits should know Farage is part of the system. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just know Rupert Lowe from some of the social media posts, and the stuff I've seen of him, he sounded really based. I don't know if he's done anything crazy beyond that. Starmer seemed like a blabbling idiot, and from what I've seen, even the lefties in the UK tend to agree with me on that point. So I don't think there's much doubt on that. Hey, have a good rest of your day there, the viral. Yeah, I'm probably going to be hopping off not too long, too. I'm just enjoying chatting with you guys, but we've been live for, holy moly, almost 4 hours. My kiddo is going to be up any second. And he'll probably try and come in here and get on camera because he loves being on camera, and I don't really want to do that. I already made that mistake in my bullion business, and when scammers and stuff were impersonating me, they friggin' shared pictures of my kid and stuff on their impersonation pages. Like, you guys, like, I was pretty well known in the gold and silver community, okay? So like I was like one of, I would say, like the top like 5 or 10 influencers in that space, in that niche. So I had hundreds of like fake accounts trying to impersonate me to scam people and stuff like that. And so I had my guard up a little more than your average like 6K YouTuber, because most people, you know, 5, 10K follower on YouTube, nobody's really messing with you that much, but I've been messed with quite a bit back under my old accounts. Aim high, vote low. I love that. Dude, that's a great, if he doesn't have that as his motto, he needs to. Hey, Stuart, thank you for all the support, buddy. Glad you were able to pop in for a little bit. Hopefully you'll enjoy my reaction to Mason Jar, since you didn't like that song much to begin with. I'm probably going to be calling it here too, guys. It's been super fun chatting with you guys. Thank you for everybody who tuned in, whether you watched 5 minutes or the full 4 hours. It was fun. I enjoyed having the conversations, experiencing all these new releases with you guys. That was very, very fun. And we might have to do more of these, man. I'm like I said, I kind of was missing doing the live streams. I like being live and chatting with the chat and everything else. So we might have to do some live reactions. Maybe I'll try and work that into the weekly schedule or something. But I think I am going to call it. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. Appreciate everybody being there. Love you guys. If you're not a member of the channel and you can afford 99 cents a month, plug there for the membership. It helps me get a sustainable income on the channel, because man, with stuff like what happened the last couple weeks, my views went down 90%, which means my income went down 90%. That stuff's kind of scary. Luckily, I'm not like solely relying on the channel right now. I'm still running my business off to the side too. So I have other streams of income, but holy moly, if I was relying on this, that would be scary. So all the more importance for memberships and stuff like that, so that we can keep doing this, keep growing this community. But yeah, love you guys. Glad you enjoyed the stream, and have a great rest of your days. I really mean that. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and we'll be talking in the comments or the next time I'm up live. See you guys later.